Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Pedreno wins on debut.
Shinaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Bowman spins, stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The champion run was complete.
Tomek to the inside.
Shadow wins at Brazil. Absolutely sensational.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to World Online Racing. I'm making my return here, and I'm also joined by the one and only Dan Field. Dan, we are here. It's the grand finale here at WOR. We're off to Abu Dhabi. It's where everything ends, really, in the world of Formula One and usually motorsport when we think about it. But to be here now for this truly special esports event with F1 esports waiting in the wings in just under a few days' time, and some of those contenders are fighting for a title shot here tonight as well.
Of course, Jan Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar, the main 2 contenders, just 8 points separating them at the moment. We do have room for Pedreno in this title fight as well, but we are in for an absolute treat this evening. It's going to be incredibly hotly contested, and if it's anything like last week's race in Brazil, then we are in for a cracker this evening.
We've had it, certainly it's been sensational all season long, lots to scream and shout about. Let's just take a little look at the track map we are going to be donning here tonight. As you can see, 5.281 kilometers, that's 3.281 miles, 16 corners is what awaits the drivers. DRS detection zones down the long straight, as well as yet another one heading down the back straight too, which can lead you down through towards the series of chicanes that you have here in between each part of the track. I said home straight. It's not really down the home straight where you can open up the DRS there, but not to mention the 2 back straights that you head out of each chicane for. Not to mention the modified turn 5 as well. More a sweeping hairpin these days, which offers opportunities for overtaking, and of course that can open doors for lots of these drivers downfield.
Absolutely, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to overtake in this one, and I'm looking mostly down at the end of that long back straight, where of course you come out of the hairpin where Lewis Hamilton was overtaken by Max Verstappen in that all too infamous almost a year ago, actually just tomorrow it'll be exactly 1 year ago, but all in that all too infamous overtaking move from Max Verstappen. I'm seeing it after there, right at the beginning of the chicane. We're going to see a lot of dive bombs through there. We could see some slip-ups as well, and with this hotly contested title fight, I'd imagine sometimes the drivers, the emotions might get the better of them.
Absolutely right indeed. We'll be looking forward to seeing who can come out on top. We talk about the permutations, and there certainly is a lot of that. Obviously, as we head through this event, we have talked about this title fight, and here is your current leader. It is Jarno Opmeer, who currently leads the way. 144 points to his name, with Thomas Ronhaar currently sat on 136, 125 for Ruben Pedreno. Those are the immediate 3 that are in this title fight. Lucas Blakely, you could argue, in it as well, but unfortunately not present here tonight, which could yet influence that maybe we've only got a 3-man fight at this stage downfield.
Yeah, of course, it started out right at the beginning of the season of Lucas Blakely coming out swinging. He won 4 of the first 5 rounds, and then unfortunately dipped after that. Managed to net himself 124 points and that was enough to keep him in the title fight right until round number 15. So if he continued on racing here, I'd imagine that the story would have been a little bit different in terms of our championship contenders, but he's not racing. So it is, of course, the main three: Opmeer, Ronhaar, and Pedreno going at it this evening.
Yeah, absolutely right. Indeed, those are the numbers certainly that we've got to look at, folks. The championship permutations that we have currently sat in front of us right now. We're very shortly going to be heading into Q1 action very, very shortly. As you can imagine, all the drivers now in their rigs ready to go. A few faces that have come in and out as well. Lots of reserves that have yet come in too. And obviously, it's a great opportunity for those young up-and-coming talents that are looking to set their sights on F1 Esports next season to have their shot at competing at some of the best in the world, and we will see a little bit of that certainly tonight as well. Of course, Jarno Opmeer not being the only star here tonight. Of course, Alvaro Caraton also up at the top end of the world of F1 Esports, driving for the Williams Esports team. Jake Benham, of course, his teammate at Mercedes. They, of course, were partnered together in the previous event of F1 Esports. They are back together here tonight at Mercedes. Jake, who has been a rising star throughout the last couple of years in the world of F1 League Racing, Dan, and already this season we've seen him get his shot at the big time in F1 Esports.
Absolutely, Jake Benham has been incredibly impressive in recent years, and of course, a WOR legend himself. I believe he was the inaugural season champion, if I'm not mistaken, unless that was on the PC platform, unless it was season 11 that I'm thinking of here, but or season 12, sorry. But yeah, Jake Benham, of course, is a champion in WOR, as is Thomas Ronhaar, one of our contenders for this evening. And I believe if he wins it tonight, he'll be one of only 5 two-time WOR champions in the top 10. It's a nice little stat that we were made aware of by the main man himself, Luke Humphreys, the Humperdinck as well. He's done an incredible job of running the league this season. So if there's anyone to thank for what has been arguably the biggest season in WOR, it's got to be him.
Absolutely right, indeed. We're going to be heading over now shortly, folks, to the track because all the cars are now out and about. So let's make our way swiftly over to Abu Dhabi. And you can see live pictures here. Luke Smith out on track, also the lobby host here tonight as well. So big special thanks to him as he now sets sail around the chicanes. Further back as well, you can see the AlphaTauri just in behind as well. Of course, AlphaTauri made up of Valentin Thivard and Jack West. Here's, of course, Valentin, who's currently sat in behind him right now, as Jack West is still in the pit lane. A few other big names as well, the likes of Ismail Fassi, who's certainly shown intriguing pace as well in PSGL, not to mention others too that have raced very hard indeed. Andre Tarabukin is certainly not one to be fraternised with. Ike Boehner, who of course is the current leader in PSGL F2, has been absolutely outstanding in qualifying formats this season, Danfield. So you would not count him out to get a pole position here today as well.
No, you really wouldn't. I think it's going to be a very hotly contested qualifying. Of course, what we're seeing at the minute is your eyes do not deceive you. They are all on the intermediate tyres, and I believe that is just so they can check that their wheel is all working, do an installation lap, and then save a set of the soft compound of tyres. So we don't actually have too much proper running at the minute, but I guess that does give us a little bit of time to sort of drink in this circuit. It's a very sweeping part of the circuit that Luke Smith had just come to, now down into the hairpin. Formerly was a chicane, but I think this is just such a much nicer sort of layout here, where it's the late apex hairpin. It is a really interesting part of the circuit, and I definitely think it is much improved on the previous layout. Headed down this main straight, or this back straight even, and in towards this braking zone, where I think we're going to see most of the overtakes this evening.
Yeah, we certainly are expecting a lot more out of Turn 5. We've seen it quite a few times now since. Obviously, championships have been decided in the real life of motorsport, certainly in Formula 1, where Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, as we alluded to before, went toe-to-toe in that very infamous 2021 final race. Of course, infamous for some people, famous in other people's eyes as well. A little twitch there from Luke Smith as he looks to try and control the presence of his tyres, certainly on intermediates. Can be very tricky. Ismail Fassi immediately goes to the top. McLaren teammate Ruben Pedreno joins him, who is, of course, in this championship fight too. And just a little reminder of those permutations, folks. There you can see the graphics there on your screen. Jarno Opmeer currently leading the title fight, 144 points, with Thomas Ronhaar on 136, with Pedreno sat with 125 himself. That is the battle for the title as we know it, folks. Jarno Opmeer, of course, are going to continue his rampant form in league racing, and not to mention string of F1 Esports championships too. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal to watch here, Dan.
And of course, these drivers aren't going to be taking this lightly, given that this is going to be one of the final races in the F1 esports season. This is really, really good practice for them. And so I think that we're going to see Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar, the pair of them, of course, involved in that F1 esports title fight. They are not going to be letting up at all in this race today. So I think that those two, if they can get their pace in qualifying and be right at the front, they are certainly going to be scrapping it out for, and it could be a battle for the WOR ages. We are seeing now in qualifying, most drivers are either in the pit lane or just on their in laps at the moment. Of course, Ismail Fassi and Pedreno quickest at the moment. However, of course, this is not representative of their actual lap times. They've set these on a pair of the on a set of the intermediate tyres. We're just seeing them peel back into the pits. It's normally around about the 10-minute mark is where we see the drivers come out on a fresh set of the soft compound of tyre. Interestingly enough, got Ikabena out on a set of the wets, and he's drifting through this final sector. It's actually quite interesting to watch.
Yeah, he certainly seems to be struggling for grip at this moment in time. No surprises considering the tyre compound that he's on. And does spin it, heading around the final couple of bends as well here at Abu Dhabi. Will obviously look to venture into the pit lane now. Can't imagine you want to go. You won't want to go around for another lap on those anyway. It'd be a bit of a waste of his time, but nevertheless, coming in now under the headlights or the floodlights here at Abu Dhabi. Still only the two McLarens enlisting times up at the top end. Intriguing to note as well, if we look back at the wins as well that Jarno Opmeer has had this season, only on 2 occasions that has been the case. Obviously, Jeddah being one of them, following that up with an exciting race at Brazil. Of course, the man behind him, Thomas Ronhaar, fellow Dutchman, currently sat P2 in the championship, a win at Bahrain with a win at Austin and at Suzuka has granted him 3 wins this season. So you could argue on sheer ratio of race wins to races run, you could argue that Ronhaar has got the better form. Only on the flip side of that, Jarno Opmeer holds the lead to this championship. So it does actually throw together a very fascinating conclusion to this title battle.
Of course, I think you've got to think about the momentum sort of coming into this week. After Brazil, Jarno Opmeer was absolutely dominant after, of course, his teammate Jake Benham was taken out of the race. It was Jarno Opmeer to supersede him and completely run away with it. On the contrary, Thomas Ronhaar didn't score any points. It was a really scrappy race, and he was caught up in that midfield, ended up finishing outside the top 10. And so maybe his confidence could be a little bit knocked headed into this race. I'd say that does give the advantage to Jarno Opmeer, but we'll have to wait and see. We're yet to see the pair of them out on circuit. However, we are finally seeing drivers now out on the soft compound of tyre, and we're finally going to get to see the first laps being run headed into the final sector now. It is Primoz Miklavčić. He'll be the first one in that Red Bull to set us on a lap.
Yeah, the familiar deep blue coloured Red Bull makes its way through the latter part on this out lap. Primoz Miklavčić who'll be making his way through the final few corners on this particular out lap. Will now make his way around the final corner before then venturing down the home straight. And he'll open it up, heading down through towards turn 1 as he now makes his way through towards the next left, near enough 90 degrees at this point of the track. Now heading through the snake section in sector 1, which will lead him into sector 2. And the DRS detection zone is in between turns 4 and turns 5. Currently holding on to 7th gear here, no need to change upwards, immediately downshifts into 3rd as he hits the apex of the corner, progressively then upshifting before reaching 5th and 6th, then opening up the DRS and heading down this long straight. Again, another opportunity for overtaking here as well. You can really open it up, get some slipstream before heading into this first of the chicanes here at this particular bend as he now makes his way through. Down in through turn 7, now whips round the very, very fast-paced turn 8. You'll be accelerating right through this section before meeting a little blind corner here and then into an in-swinger at turn 9, which will then lead you in towards the back echelons of this track. He's now into sector 3 proper. He's gone purple, as you'd expected, that second sector as well, briefly, as he now heads around this next right-hander now. This is the more technical part of the Abu Dhabi circuit, heading through this next left as well at turn 14. He's got 15 and 16 still to go, a double right to take. Whips the Red Bull round now towards the final bend. Now, what time is it going to be here for Primoz Miklavčić just to get his ball on the road? It certainly will be a 1:23.172, considerably faster than Ismail Fassi, as you would expect.
Yeah, decent enough lap, I would say, from him there, but we'll have to wait and see how it compares to the rest of the grid. I believe next up is going to be Ben Shabakonyi flat out through turn number 15, braking in towards turn 16. We'll see what he can do across the line. So 1 minute 23.1 to beat. He goes a tenth slower with a 1 minute 23.217. Up next would be Valentin Tivard in that Alpha Tauri coming across the line. He goes slower down at Ben Shabakonyi, currently slowest of the 3 drivers who have set their laps on a soft set of tyres. Up next, I believe it's one of the Ferraris. Would that make it? It's actually not. It's going to be one of the Aston Martins. That'd be Xander Van Dyken, if I'm not mistaken. He's just begun on a lap. All these drivers coming out at the same time. It's difficult to follow who's actually on a lap here.
Yeah, Alessio Di Capo just getting himself teed up as well. Many of them just making their way around this final sector. Tomek Paracic also being one of them, as he now makes his way through the latter part of this lap. And he'll be looking to put this one to the top as well. Cartelundi goes fastest with a 123.118. But Tomek Paracic on his return here goes to the top as well. The first man in the 122s here in Q1. Not a bad start for the Alfa Romeo.
Oh, very nice time indeed from Tomek Paracic. This is the first time this season we have seen him since, it'd be since the Netherlands, where he took his win, of course, at the Dutch Grand Prix in round number 9. He's coming back swinging this evening, and he's currently the quickest in Q1 with a 1 minute 22.847. And I wonder, George, is that going to be good enough for him to just come back into the pit lane and then take it easy for the next 7 minutes? Because he could be into the next session here.
Well, his tyre sets will thank him if that's the case, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, our current championship leader, Jarno Opmeer, is now out on an out lap and is now crossing the line to commence his opening lap. So let's ride on board with the 2-time F1 Esports World Champion as he now rides his way through the initial sector, coming through turns 2, 3 and 4. He'll then head down through towards turn 5 himself before then taking that long straight leading up through towards turn 6. Speed trap, of course, will be at the end of this very straight as he now puts his foot to the floor yet again. And he'll open it up heading down to this next chicane as well. Turn 6 and 7 ahead. Of course, he'll have DRS detection just after turn 7 as well. Again, a man who has come on top twice this season in WOR with points taken at Jeddah. Of course, it's not his only podiums, though. He has taken podiums at Austin, Texas. Not to mention, or should I say both US Grand Prix. He's in fact taken both points in the States with 2 third places. A second place at Silverstone as well. Not to mention podium finishes at both Barcelona and Zandvoort, to say the least, in his home race. Luke Smith has hit the top with a 122.764 himself as well, but Jarno Opmeer is going to look to take it away. Thomas Ronhaar, the other man in the fight as well, goes first fastest with a 122.538. Can Jarno Opmeer do the same? Take it off his fellow countryman, the fellow Dutchman, Thomas Ronhaar. Of course, him driving a Haas, Jarno driving the Mercedes. Over the line, Jarno Opmeer only good enough for 8th place, just in behind teammate Jake Benham.
Yeah, a little bit shaky from Jarno Opmeer there. It is Thomas Ronhaar clear out in front at the minute with just 5.5 minutes left to go in this session. The gauntlet has been laid down. Your championship contenders at the minute are 1st, 8th and 11th. Room Pedreno with a pretty rough lap, I would say. A 23 flat from him. That might not be good enough to get himself out of that bottom 5. Currently being occupied by Shabakonyi, Tivard, Di Capua, West and Boehner. The bottom 2 at the moment have not got a lap on the board. I know that Jack West is on a push lap at the moment. Tomek Paracic in the pit lane, interestingly enough, has decided to retire. Does that mean that the rest of the top 5 are going to be safe as well? Or maybe is that a little bit of arrogance, I'd say, from Tomek there?
Well, the time is ticking down. We're within the final 5 minutes. The final 5 minutes of time. Ike Boehner, interestingly enough, he's remained in the pits as well. Jack West is still yet to set a time himself. So a very bold, certainly a bold position for Jack West to be in. He's going to have to really unleash the beast if he's going to look to try and land a competitive lap time on this field. Of course, Thomas Ronhaar enlisting a 122.538. I spoke to him not long ago. Of course, coming into the final week into F1 Esports, he said that he's never practiced so good. He's never felt so confident. Let's see if that translates into the world of league racing as well. As into the pit lane comes Jack West. And he'll no doubt prepare himself for one final run should he have enough time. Of course, the timer is ticking down. Ronhaar has retired. And so no doubts as to how he feels his session has gone. He feels that he's confident enough to, like Tomek Paracic to a degree, to make take the decision to retire from Q1 and get himself ready for Q2. Daniel Haddad, though, just a little word on him. Not a bad start at all. P2 from the get-go downfield.
Absolutely, a nice enough time from him. I'd say be safe into the next session with that one. I'd say round about where Ismail Fashi is in that 9th position, the 1 minute 22.9. That's where you've got to sort of worry. So we'll see if the McLaren driver can come out of the pit lane and start a lap. We've got Andrei Tarabukin. We know he likes to come out early in towards the end of the qualifying session with about 3 minutes to go. So he's likely fueled that car up a little bit extra just so we can get, if he messes up on his first lap, that he can go once again. It is a pretty common tactic in the world of esports. You see he's revving out his engine as well. That's just to burn off a little bit excess fuel, because I guess those thousandths of a seconds that it does give you can mean the difference between making it out of Q1 and being eliminated at this point. And certainly Andrei Tarabukin has got a lot to worry about. Currently in 14th position, 1 minute 23.1 to his name. He is close to a lot of his rivals, and a small improvement could see him shooting right up the order. So I think some of these drivers towards the top end of the grid, they have a bit to worry about, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, Tarabukin is literally on the bubble. He is literally tenths of a second from being safe, tenths of a second from being eliminated. There is no in-between. It is all on Andrei Tarabukin to pull out the lap of his life in order to stay alive in qualifying. Can he get himself up to the top end, or at least safe in this situation? Luke Smith has already retired at this point during the session. Tarabukin might be under a little bit of pressure here, because there is another car just leaving the pit lane. I think that was an Alpine. It certainly was an Alpine that just left the garage. Ika Boehner, I believe that might be, just making his way around the circuit as well. Of course, he's yet to set a lap, as well as Jack West, as we now watch Tarabukin make his way down the straight. And he should be able to avoid the traffic, of course, for the rest of this lap. So a great chance indeed for him to enlist his next lap. Of course, a 1:23.135 to beat would probably ideally need to be within the late 22s if he wants to stay alive here, Dan.
I'd absolutely agree with you there, and we'll see what he can do as he comes up towards the end of the second sector. Just at the beginning of turn number 9, he's down by 0.03 of a second, so it's not looking strong for Andrei Tarabukin, but we'll see what he can do as he heads in towards this final sector. Arguably, this is where you can make up the most time if he's made a crucial error earlier on in his lap on his previous best time. And oh dear, he's unfortunately invalidated it, run a little bit too wide coming out of turn number 13 there. He has got time to go once again, but I think he's going to be peeling off into the pit lane. And if anyone else improves behind him, and he's got the likes of De Capua, West and Boehner, who haven't set a representative lap time, we could be seeing Andrei Tarabukin unfortunately eliminated from this Q1 session. Yeah,
Jack West, who we're currently seeing on our screens right now, he was the one of the drivers yet to set a lap time, of course, so far in this Q1 session. Both himself and Ika Boehner are still yet to do so. Tarabukin has just dropped down to 15th as well, so he is right on the bubble of elimination, with some very salty names underneath as well, because you've got Benjabo Connie, Valentin Thiva, Alessio Di Capua, Jack West and Ika Boehner, who are all exceptionally quick, all have a chance of lifting themselves out of the bottom 5, and Tarabukin, incidentally, is now in 16th place, so he has dropped down as well, so not good at all for him, as now we're seeing Jack West make his way around the latter point of this circuit as well. I believe he's also invalidated downfield.
He has, unfortunately, just at turn number 13, I believe it was, turn 14. So we see the clock has struck 0. Ismail Fassi managed to secure himself into P4 ahead of Alvaro Caraton. I believe that was Valentin Tivard just getting himself out of danger for the time being. Xander Van Dyken could be in a spot to bother. He's 13th and not on a lap at the moment. So if anyone improves behind him, we could be losing him from this qualifying session. We've got Ika Boehner, unfortunately, invalid on his lap. So he will not be seeing Q2, and he is out of this session. Cartalundi as well in that bottom 5 and has been eliminated. That only leaves Alessio Capua, the man who can improve and get himself out of that bottom 5 to eliminate potentially Chan Akinci, who is also on a lap. Ooh.
Yeah, Alessio Di Capua crashing into the barrier. That's cost him big time as well. Many other cars trying to make their way through, but a lot of invalidations coming out of that latter sector, sector 3, heading around those particular section at turn 11 into turn 12. Many cars losing it at that particular portion, and as a result, many of them not even being able to settle competitive lap times. Jack West wasn't even able to set a time. Neither was Ika Boehner. Alessio Di Capua stranded on a 1:26, as well as Andre Tarabukin, who wasn't able to improve at the death. Cartalundi not able to improve either. Chanakinchi holding on to that 15th place, just managing to stay within the fight. So it just goes to show every 10th of a second matters here, Danfield. But crucially enough, Thomas Ronhaar, he didn't need to come out again. He sealed the deal with P1 in Q1.
He saves himself a set of tyres, as does Daniele Haddad, Luke Smith, Alvaro Carreton, Tomek Prajic, and the two Mercedes as well. Even though they're 9th and 10th position, I think that is going to be a successful qualifying for the team. Ruben Pedreno was able to improve, but his original time was actually going to be good enough to get himself out of that drop zone. He would have been around about where McClavchich was. So, I mean, he would have been in a pretty precarious situation, but nevertheless, I think it was better for him to go for security. But at the end of Q1, Thomas Ronhaar clear of the field, 2 tenths ahead of his nearest competitor. He leads Q1.
Yeah, Daniele Haddad coming back as well with a 2nd place, but just look at the gap. I mean, I know we talk about tenths of a second, but that is serious indeed. Just over 2 tenths between that of Daniele Haddad and Thomas Ronhaar. Luke Smith 3rd, Ismail Fassi 4th, with Alvaro Carreton in 5th. We'll just take a look at the eliminations. We lose Cartalundi, Andre Tarabukin, Alessio Di Capua, Jack West, and Ike Boehner from qualifying, and they will not be heading through towards the latter stages. But we'll have to wait and see what happens, of course, when we head up into Q2. Of course, I mean, if we just talk about some of the things we have seen in that first session, obviously Ronhaar looking so committed. He's so ice cold, isn't he, when he comes to settling a lap time. Interestingly enough, though, just looking at that final sector, seems that a few guys are having a few issues with it. The likes of Ike Boehner, you'd expect, based off his performances in PSGL, he has always been a pole contender in their F2 competition. Can't even get a time on the board here tonight.
Really difficult in that 3rd sector, and I think that especially the exit of turn number 13 is what catches the drivers out most, where it's that double left-hander there between turns 13 and 14. Just run a little bit too wide out of there, and that is your lap in the bin. Saw Alessio Di Capua also struggling a little bit. I don't want to point fingers or anything, but Cartalundi was on the same piece of circuit without any front wing, and he was spinning the car all around the place, so not too sure what's gone on there. But we'll have to wait and see. If I'll check the Discord chat in a moment. But I think there's going to be a little bit of controversy surrounding the end of that Q1 session. But nevertheless, Q2 is underway. The drivers will be heading out back onto the circuit, 15 minutes to decide the top 10, and he'll be fighting out for pole position. Yeah,
many of them already out and about. Luke Smith, who we're currently seeing on our screens already, hitting the circuit, as well as many others, such as Xander Van Dijken, and not to mention Jarno Opmeer. Thomas Ronhaar also out, Alvaro Carreton, Duncan Hofland, Chanakinchi, Tomek Prajic, as well as Ismail Fassi, Primoz Miklavčić, Daniele Haddad, who was impressive in that first session of qualifying, Ruben Pedreno as well, who is in this title fight too. I mean, we talk about it all night. If you want a reminder of this, these are the permutations. 144 points go to the Flying Dutchman, of course, 2-time F1 Esports champion, with his F1 Esports rival as well for this season, Thomas Ronhaar, who has been successful on many an occasion in WOR, has such a steep history not only on the PC platform, but also on the Xbox platform as well, which is what brought WOR into the picture of league racing, as well as Ruben Pedreno, who has been such a solid performer and such a bright talent in the world of league racing and has been for so long, also sees him in this fight as well. Pedreno, who has been not necessarily a race winner all season long. Of course, he did take the win at Barcelona, but more often than not, he's just been so consistent, Dan.
Absolutely, the consistency really is key when it comes to league racing, and I think he's got to be proud of that one there, and that's what's kept him in this title fight. We'll have to wait and see how he does at the beginning of Q2, of course. Normally we see drivers coming out on a scrub set of the tyres, so this is the tyre that they likely used in Q1, which means we're not going to see blistering lap times like we did from Thomas Ronhaar, where he managed to get a 22.5. They're going to be slightly slower at this point. It's just to get a time on the board, set a delta as well. And my theory is that it's a sort of a psychological advantage when you see that you're improving on your lap. When the delta is green, it's going to be a little bit of a confidence boost. They typically drive to your maximum. You know, you're not going to be hesitant on it on any part of the circuit. So I think that's what these drivers do at the beginning of Q2, and it also saves them setting the tyres so they can go once again in Q3, where it really does matter, because that is going to be the fight for pole.
Yeah, Tomek Prajic now making his way through the final sector here at Abu Dhabi. This is famous circuit of Yas Marina, under the floodlights. So we now see the very, very fast pole make his way around this final bend here. And he'll enlist the first lap time here in Q2. Across it, 100, and it's a 123.510, a bit off the best times we have seen, but immediately stamped over by Thomas Ronhaar, who hits the front already with a 123.108. And Luke Smith approximately, nearly 4/10 of a second, or 3/10 of a second clear, nearly 4/10 clear of that. Daniel Haddad again, so quick, just a 1/10 of a second off the pace of Thomas Ronhaar. Ismail Fassi goes third fastest as well. We've lost a car at the back as well. Pedreno, the title contender, he's gone, he's in the wall.
Oh no, Pedreno out in Q2. I don't know what's happened there. He must have just lost it out the final corner, pushing too hard, but this is going to really hold him back in terms of his championship fight. He's already quite a decent amount of points. He's 19 points off of Jan Opmeer, starting from what I'd imagine is going to be 15th. That's really going to hurt him. To the pit wall he goes. He is out of this session. He's in that bottom 5, so Pedreno is not going to be seeing Q3. This could really hurt him in the title fight, and I do feel for him. Yeah,
he certainly could do. Obviously, that's probably a little smile given to the likes of Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar, because that makes their job a little bit easier, albeit that they've still got the pair of, well, certainly those pair have got to contend with one another. Primoz Miklavčić is now out on track as well, looking to try and nestle in a positive lap time himself, just makes his way through this initial chicane, before then heading down towards the sweeping turn 9. And the Red Bull, which has certainly seen its own fair share of successes in the real world of Formula One. Of course, taking the optimal prize, that being the Teams Championship. And not only that, Max Verstappen claiming his second World Championship this season as well. Primoz Miklavčić looking to try and pull out a big score as well in the familiar livery that we've certainly come to recognise over the past few years, as we're now watching Primoz Miklavčić make his way through the latter sector now, just chasing that Mercedes as it now races through this series of corners now. The double right-handers, yellow flags being waved in the latter sector as we just see the Mercedes sorting itself out. Coming into the pit lane as well with just over 9 minutes and 30 to go. The drivers are now all in the pit lane. No one's out on track, just getting set before they can get ready for the next list of laps.
Yeah, we've already got a Haas car exiting the pit lane. That is Bence Zabokony without a lap time on the board at the minute. Just a quick thing to note, we have had a poll running for the past 20 minutes or so in the live chat about who is winning this title. 703 votes at the minute. 85% of them believe that Jan Opmeer is going to walk away with this championship. 13% saying that Thomas Ronhaar from 8 points back is going to snatch it, and then only 1% voting for Ruben Pedreno. And tell you what, that is a loyal fan base that Ruben Pedreno has got. I'd love to see him come from 19 points back to take this title, but being eliminated in Q2 and crashing into that pit wall is really not going to do him any good. But with 8 minutes left to go in this session, drivers finally coming out onto the circuit with a fresh set of the soft compound of tyres, so we're really going to get to see what these drivers can do. As Zabokony only just squeaking through in that first session, he was outside that top 10, but he was in the top 15, and that was all that mattered. If he can get himself inside that top 10 in this session, I think that'd be a great boost to his confidence headed into this race here, where he could get some decent points. But in towards this final sector, he'll be gearing up for his lap starting here.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. The Haas now getting itself ready for yet another run. Of course, Ben Zabokony, who's been on the league racing scene as well for so long, competed with the best of them too. Of course, PC has seen such an exponential rise in the last couple of years where it comes to sim racing, and certainly that of F1 league racing. It's certainly become the master race, should we say, where it comes to embedding new talents for F1 esports and various other championships too, as Ben Zabokony heads through the first sector before then whipping in towards turn 5. There's McLaren as well in behind. That I'm afraid is not going to be Ruben Pedreno, but Ismail Fassi. And purple first sector enlisted here by Ben Zabokony, so not a bad way to start at all. Just making his way down this next straight. He'll then dip into the next chicane as well, which will be turn 6 and 7. Speed trap at the end of this straight. And he'll try and find the optimal line through this series of corners, managing to hit every single apex, just clipping the curbs on entry and exit before then whipping around this next left at turn 8. he'll head down towards the next bend at turn 9, where it will be more of a progressive bend, unlike it used to be, where it was very much a chicane, similar to the one prior, which will then find you into that Sector 3 section of the circuit as well. Now this one, far more technical, as they now whip through this next right, down in towards turn 12, and almost a dogged 90-degree left-hander. Coming up next into another series of lefts before then venturing into a series of rights. Here they come now into turn 15 and 16. It is Ben Zabo-Konyi after going purple in the initial part of this lap. Isn't enough to go to the top. A sweep of the back end as he now heads up into 6th place. That's 2 Haas up in the top 6. Ronhaar on top. I speak too soon. Parajish now goes to the top with a 122.791 Danfield.
Nice time from Parajish there, and Duncan Hoffland though coming across the line to go 2/10 quicker, and then Luke Smith just going 5 thousandths faster down the Dutchman, so the lap times are coming out thick and fast. The Valentin Tivard going into 4th position. We've got one of the Williams coming up next to cross the line. That is Daniele Haddad with a 1:22.518. A nice time from him there. We got Jan Opmeer up next, one of the championship contenders, the championship leader headed into this race, and it's going to be just 100 slower than Duncan Hoffland, a 1:22.593. Up next, it is going to be Thomas Ronhaar, the man who topped Q1. What can he do in Q2? Of course, he's going to go to the top of the order with a 1:22.381. That is going to solidify his place in Q3. I am absolutely sure of it. So the Dutchman can take it easy. He can come back into the pit lane, and he'd be very pleased with that lap, I'd say.
Yeah, Primoz Miklavčić going 10th fastest as well. We've got Jake Benham up into 2nd fastest as well. Not a bad lap at all for him, but Ronhaar once again heading to the top. A statement of intent from this young Dutchman. Ice cold, I always say about him. Ice cold, that's what runs in his veins. Literally ice. He is sensational at 1:22.381, and he goes near enough an almighty just over a 10th of a second clear. In fact, more urgent towards that 1.5 of a second clear from the All-Star Jake Benham, who currently sits in 2nd, with Daniele Haddad now in 3rd place as well. Good consistency coming from the Italian. Haddad going 2nd in our previous session, not to mention then following up now with a 3rd place here with just over 4.5 minutes to go.
Very nice time from him, but we're going to see all the drivers headed back into the pit lane now, gearing up for their final runs in Q2. And I wonder who is going to opt to stay out on to stay in the pit lane, and who is going to venture it out onto the circuit. Of course, the bottom 5 at the minute occupied by Tivard, Miklavčić, Zabo-Konyi, and Van Dijken. Dana Van Dijken without a lap time at the moment, and of course in that 15th position, one of the championship contenders, 19 points back at the moment, Pedreno. Unfortunately crashing it into the pit wall on his installation lap. We'll have to wait and see with just 4 minutes to go. Thomas Ronhaar leading Jake Benham at the moment. Daniele Haddad in 3rd. Luke Smith in 4th. And this is incredibly this is an incredibly close qualifying session. If you take out Thomas Ronhaar from this equation, you'd see, I think it's about from about 2nd to 6th is separated by a 10th of a second, which of course we always see incredibly close gaps in WOR. Interestingly enough, Alvaro Carreton, George, retiring from this session while he's in 10th place. Is that him going to be eliminated from the session, surely?
That is a very interesting point to make there, Danfield. 10th place, yet retiring the car. Interesting. I've not seen anything quite like that before. Not sure what the rationale or the thinking is behind that, but nevertheless, Thomas Ronhaar, I can tell you, has retired. I think that one we can sort of understand to a degree. Certainly at the top end with a 1:22.381. I can tell you this, folks. I mean, if Thomas Ronhaar does finish your race leader at the end, it will, of course, put him well in the fight to win this title. Of course, Opmeer, in order to win the championship here at Abu Dhabi, of course, if he finishes 3rd, then he'll need Ronhaar to finish 2nd or lower in order for him to clinch that title. So if Ronhaar does take the victory and Opmeer finishes no higher than 3rd place, Ronhaar will be champion.
Certainly anyone's game at the minute. Thomas Ronhaar looking in fine form in qualifying. Jan Opmeer struggling a little bit more. He didn't come out for a 2nd run in Q1, but he is forced to show his hand really here and come out once again. He has just entered his outlap, and I would be concerned if we don't see Jan Opmeer in Q3. That is going to be a very tricky situation for the Dutchman. Despite leading this championship, one minor slip-up would lead to Thomas Ronhaar taking advantage. And you'd think after such a disappointing race, I'd say, in Brazil for Thomas Ronhaar, to come back in Abu Dhabi, I would have thought he would have been sort of out of focus, you know, maybe not in the best headspace to come into this one, but he's absolutely proven me wrong. He's having a great performance, and he's going to be into Q3, I'm sure of it. I mean, if we can see all 10 drivers behind him go up ahead of a 1 minute 22.3, I mean, I don't know what I'd do.
Well, I tell you what, we'll have to wait and see what it can bring him. The question is, will he remain in first place after this final run in qualifying? We've got just under a minute and a half remaining to go in quali. These are the final runs here in Q2. The question is, who's getting eliminated? We can tell you one thing for sure. Ruben Pedreno has been eliminated after that incident at the very start, crashing into the wall. Of course, he was also in the championship fight here tonight, but has certainly made things very difficult for himself. 15th is where he will start. Of course, Alvaro Carreton, of course, retiring too, and he's right on the bubble of elimination. So could be a big problem here for the Williams driver, as we're now seeing Chanakinchi make his way down this next straight. He has got a chicane coming up, turn 6 and 7, that's ahead of him, which he'll then take before then venturing down the next series of corners after the next main straight. Of course, DRS will be opened up after this particular bend at turn 7, turn 8, and the rear wing opens up before he then jettisons down towards turn 9. Of course, Chanakinchi as well, who has got a reputation also for being extremely quick, working as an academy driver in the world of F1 esports too. He's already invalidated as well at the latter section. We've seen it time and time again, Danfield. Crossing that white line, it's so easy to get an invalidation.
Yeah, and he does have time to go for an extra lap, but I don't know if he's got the ERS to do so. As bench Aberconyi, he does improve on his lap time, but it's not enough to get himself out of that bottom 5. We could be seeing him out of this session. Xander van Dijken manages to go into 9th place and eliminate Alvaro Carreton as the clock strikes 0. We've got Tomek Parajic on a lap time at the minute. He is right on the bubble, currently on a 1 minute 22 point. I've not got the gap to the leader up at the minute, but Tomek Parajic certainly in a dangerous position on the 22.1, and he's invalidated on his lap. Right at the death of it. This could mean danger for the Alfa Romeo driver as he crossed the line, and he would have improved by almost 0.2 of a second, but it wasn't meant to be as Tavard crossed the line, and he is out of this session.
Yeah, Luke Smith also crosses the line, remains in P4. Invalidations coming left, right and centre towards the end of this session as well. More and more of them coming across the line. Jarno Opmeer also looking to try and steal a great position to himself. Goes 5th fastest, still behind the All-Star Jake Benham, who remains in 4th place as well. So Jake Benham, who's currently holding a position ahead of his teammate, in a wonderful place as well right now. Chanakinchi, who is still out on a lap himself. Remember, he invalidated his previous run. Of course, coming to the death of qualifying, just managed to cross the line in time to set yet another lap. Duncan Hofland is also out on track too, not to mention Xander van Dijken as well. Duncan coming into the pit lane. Chanakinchi will be the next man, no doubt, to come across the line and set a valid lap time. As they do so, what can the Red Bull enlist? It's now or never. No, coming into the pit lane. He doesn't need to anyway. He is safe. Alvaro Carreton, he's out, but only dropping down to 11th place after retiring in P10. We are losing Benjabo Konye, Valentin Thivard, Primoz Miklavcic, and Ruben Pedreno after that incident. But Thomas Ronhaar, fastest again with a 122.381. The young man is relentless, Stanfield.
Yep. Other drivers were able to get within 1/10 of him, but still no one is able to get close enough to Thomas Ronhaar to usurp him in that P1 position. Once again, George, was seeing a big issue with invalidations around this circuit. In that bottom 5 before the final runs of qualifying, Xander van Dijken was the only one who was able to jump out of that bottom 5, and that was because he hadn't even set a lap time at that point. So realistically, no one improved in that drop zone. So a lot of, I think, nerves are getting in the way, and it's causing them to go off the circuit, particularly in that 3rd sector, which is causing them to invalidate their laps and unfortunately be eliminated from qualifying. But it is Thomas Ronhaar leading Q2 And surely with this kind of momentum, you got to put his name in the hat for pole position here.
He has been ridiculously quick, and 1:22.381 is the fastest time. Near enough a 10th between him and Ismail Fassi, within a 10th though. Credit to Ismail Fassi as well. Daniel Haddad, third place, yet again, very consistent, top 3 here in Q2 again, after doing something very similar in Q1, managing to get second place. We do, in fact, though, lose Alvaro Caraton, Benjabo Koni, Valentin Thivard, Primoz Miklavcic, and Ruben Pedreno, both of those drivers out currently of this session. But once again, it is all Thomas Ronhaar at this point, but great to see that Jarno Opmeer is in this Q3 fight as well. The two Dutchmen, the two that are also battling for the F1 Esports title, coming here tonight. They're going to leave everything out on the circuit here at Abu Dhabi. I think we're going to be in for a real treat here, Danfield.
Absolutely, we're seeing Thomas Ronhaar just completely dominate qualifying at this point. It's been a bit of a struggle for Jarno Opmeer, and we've seen that throughout the season, particularly in the earlier parts of the year. Qualifying has not been his strong suit, and even last week he was eliminated in Q2. He can wrap everything up and get himself maybe in that top 3. I think he has a great chance of beating Thomas Ronhaar today, but at the moment Ronhaar just looks to be unstoppable at the minute. Q3 is getting underway. It's going to be 12 minutes, George, to decide who is starting on pole position.
It's going to be absolutely tremendous, folks. I cannot wait. Any moment now, we will be heading back to Yas Marina for Q3. But I want to hear from you folks at home. First of all, don't forget to leave a like and also leave a subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that red button, leave a like as well, and stay up to date with everything WOR, of course. We're coming to the end of this very season, but it won't be long before we go racing again when it comes into the new year. Of course, this game cycle keeps on ticking, and there's going to be an almighty reaction when the new calendar comes out. I know that Luke Humphries has been working very hard on it, to say the least. But please let me know, folks, in the live chat who you think is going to take pole position as we head into qualifying here in Q3. Dan, I'm going to throw it to you. What's your prediction?
I don't want to be boring, but it really is just it really is just a no-brainer on Thomas Ronhaar getting pole position. So I'm gonna have to go for the Dutchman to complete the treble in qualifying, taking the top spot in Q1, Q2, and then setting his pole position time in Q3. I apologise for being boring, but that is just the way it is.
God, Danfield, boring. Boring. No, I'm joking. No, I mean, to be fair, if you're looking at the form book, then Ronhaar is certainly the man to watch, isn't he, I would say. You've got to give the young man credit. He has come here relentless as ever, looking to stack himself on top end, and certainly he has done so in Q1, not to mention Q2 as well. Please let me know what your thoughts are, folks. I'm seeing EJ, who says Thomas, obviously. He reckons that it's going to be Thomas Ronhaar. Xander for pole says Big C. Connor, of course, the owner of PSGL as well, representing here in the WOR live chat. Big hello to Victoria Field as well. A warm welcome to you indeed. If you want to hear or certainly get your voice heard on this broadcast, folks, let us know. F1 Evan goes for Jarno Opmeer. Can it be Jarno to take pole position leading into this final race of this WOR Championship? We'll have to wait and see. ABE Aiden says Ismail Fassi pole. Snippet says, I hope Jarno wins. George Snyder, Big C never fails to speak the facts. Certainly does. F1 Evan also. Dan Pilbeam says Benham as well. And looking further down, we've got Ruben Cornelise as well saying Jarno pole incoming. Paddy Waters saying Jarno. All of you, quite a few Jarno fans are coming in here now. Big warm welcome to all the Jarno fans. Loads of people. Haddad supremacy, says F1 Scenario 7. And as we're looking on our screens now, Xander Van Dijken, who has just gone purple in the second sector, making his way around the latter stages. Big thank you to every single one of you for tuning in here tonight. A pleasure to have you here for this grand finale. Danfield, we're underway. Just over 8 minutes and a half to go.
Absolutely, and I can't wait for the climax of this qualifying session. Lots of love for everyone in the live chat as Xander Van Dijken comes across the line at 1 minute 22.958. That's going to be on a scrub set of the tyres, I would imagine. I think he can go a lot quicker in this qualifying session. We have all the drivers now peeling out of the pit lane for their outlaps, including Thomas Ronhaar. He's just come out of the pit lane, headed in towards turn number 5. Surely he's got to be most people's pick for pole position. But if you go for the fan favourite, Jarno Opmeer just exiting the pit lane at the minute, as he is, well, He's going to be the last one out on circuit. He's going to be the last one setting a lap for us here, George. So really, it is all on him to deliver the goods, I'd say.
Yeah, who's going to crunch the serious numbers first? Let's run on board with Tomek Paradzic as he now makes his way down through this next series of corners through Sector 1. Comes through the next right-hander now out of Turn 3, in towards Turn 4 before dipping in towards Turn 5 now. Gears down, actually holds it in 4th. In fact, we've seen a few drivers dipping into the 3rds, but certainly not Tomek Paradzic. Prefers to hang on to the car in 4th before coming out now 8th gear all the way down towards Turn 6 and Turn 7. And he's going to brake just after the 150, just before the 100 in fact, as he now makes his way through this next chicane coming out of Turn 7. He'll then head towards Turn 8, open up the rear wing as well before venturing in towards Turn 9, which will involve a little bit of a swinging section in towards Sector 3. As we can now see him in the Alfa Romeo. He has represented them this year in F1 Esports, has done so brilliantly too, has been part of the Veloce family for such a long time. For such a young man, he feels like a well-experienced character is a well-experienced character when it comes to F1 League racing. Heads through the latter sector now. He'll then venture through towards the turns 15 and 16 in the Alpha. Has invalidated though here very crucially on his first run in Q3. That'll hurt.
Done it again, unfortunately. I think it was in the same spot as well that he did at the end of Q2. It would have been a 1 minute 22.5 for the Polish driver, and I think it's a banker time. That's not a bad lap at all, as Luke Smith has had a spin in that final sector, so his lap is not going to be completed. We've got Duncan Hoffland coming up next towards the line, then a Red Bull car of Chanakinchi in behind him, then Ismail Fassi. A lot of these guys, young, up-and-coming stars in the F1 esports scene. Here comes the Aston Martin out the exit of the final corner to come across the line. It's going to go into the 1 minute 23.4s, 1 minute 23.1 from Chanakinchi. Once again, these lap times not really blowing me away, I'd say at this point. Daniele Haddad could prove me wrong here, I'd imagine. Well, wow, okay. I was going to say, I'd imagine he's on a scrub set of the tyres like everyone else, but a 1 minute 22.360 for Haddad. He's been so consistent in this session, but Thomas Ronhaar has been even more consistent, once again, blowing the competition out of the water. Jake Benham's coming across the line now. It's going to be a 1 minute 22.5. That leaves Jarno Opmeer, your championship leader, headed into this round in Abu Dhabi towards turn number 16. And to come across the line, can he compare to Thomas Ronhaar? Not quite at this point. 1 minute 22.472. But once again, George, Thomas Ronhaar leading the way in qualifying.
He certainly is. And Tomek Paradzic is not going to follow it up himself with a lap. Of course, invalidating the first one. But Jarno Opmeer, third fastest in the first stint, but Thomas Ronhaar unable to be usurped, heads to the top, a 122.146. Another great lap as well from Daniele Haddad. That initial 22.3 is going to be so competitive too, obviously getting himself right up in the mix once again, faster than the Flying Dutchman, but in behind yet another Dutchman, of course, with Thomas Ronhaar on top. Jake Benham in 4th, Mercedes currently, they've been tied to the waist pretty much all session long, pretty much right through Q1 and Q2 they've been together. They're together again in Q3 with Opmeer in 3rd, Jake Benham in 4th. Xander Van Dijken, of course, fresh from PlayStation, of course, has been competing in PC as well as of late. He's now up into 5th place ahead of Chanakinchi, Duncan Hoffland as well, with Ismail Fassi and Luke Smith. Tomek Paradzic, who a little error on his opening lap causing him not to set one at all. Of course, Luke Smith also having an error. That spin that we saw heading through the latter sector of the first laps that we have seen. We are now into the final 4 minutes. It's now or never. Ronhaar has literally got to come in and come straight back out again. So keep your eyes peeled, folks. More cars are going to be heading back out and about. Jarno Opmeer, who's going to be looking to come in now. You've still got a little bit of time. So I think he'll just about be okay, but we are now into 3 minutes and 40. I tell you what, can you feel the tension, Danfield?
I can indeed, and I think with everyone in the pit lane at the minute, this is the perfect opportunity to let everyone know that we are closing in on 8,000 subscribers to the WOR YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, please do consider hitting that big red button. It's also worth mentioning we are over 1,000 viewers at the minute, so thank you everyone who is watching. Let us know where you are watching from in the world. I mean, it's fitting for a name like World Online Racing to have a worldwide audience, so let us know in the live chat where you are watching from. But George, with just 3 minutes left to go, this is shaping up to possibly be one of the most exciting ends to a WOR season.
Well, we've definitely hit Europe, Dan. I can see Portugal, Germany, Italy. Oh, we've got a Brazil there as well, so we're into the Americas as well. Bosnia and Herzegovina as well. Big hello to you. Portugal, UK, Italy, Portugal, Serbia, Antarctica. Wow, bet it's cold up there at the moment. Germany, China, Hungary, England, Bulgaria, UK again, Netherlands, Denmark, Norway. Watching from my home, says Aidan. Italy. Intriguing. Look at all these. Incredible. Big thank you to everyone tuning in tonight. Of course, you're going to be in for a real treat. And we're going to be looking to see who can hit the top end. We've got someone who says Essex as well, which is great to see as well. So awesome to see you guys joining us too. Just incidentally, folks, we also want to hear who you think is going to get pole position. I said it before the broadcast. Now the times have come in. Let us know who's going to take pole position here in WOR. 2 minutes still to go here at Abu Dhabi. Who is taking that vital pole position? Let us know in the chat.
Absolutely, with just under 2 minutes to go left in this qualifying session. And how about this for a story? The last two drivers exiting it's not Jake and Jarno, it's Thomas and Jarno. Unfortunately, Jarno Opmeer is already out on the circuit. That would have been an incredible story to see the two championship rivals exiting the pit lane at the same time, and they'd have had a duel right towards the end. But it is going to be Xander Van Dijken. We saw him out first in Q at the beginning of this session. He'll be first out once again at the end of this qualifying session in just over 1 minute and 20 seconds time, everyone. We will find out who is going to be on pole position. I can already see there is a poll in the live chat about who you think is going to be lining up in P1 as Xander Van Dijken gets his lap underway for the final time in this qualifying session.
He does indeed. Let's ride on board with him as he now makes his way through turn 1 now. The Aston Martin now making his way through turns 2 and turns 3, not to mention turn 4 as well to complete sector 1. He'll now make his way in towards turn 5. DRS detection zone. He has just literally passed it. He'll now whip round turn 5 now. Of course, in fact, has enlisted a purple sector 1 as well to boot. So a good start here for Xander Van Dijken. And, he'll make his way down towards the next chicane at turn 6 and 7. Speed trap, as we've said before, right at the end of this straight 2. You now see Duncan make his way through now. Certainly Xander make his way through. Of course, teammates with Duncan Hoffman this season. He'll then head through this next left-hander before venturing in towards turn 9 as well. Incoming now, this Aston Martin winds its way through. Of course, Simon Perigny would usually be in this seat, but unfortunately not racing here tonight. It is going to be, in fact, Xander Van Dijken coming back, heading through this latter sector now. We're into sector 3 proper as things stand, heading through this next left. 2 lefts, quickly followed by 2 rights as well. As I said before, very technical, this part of the circuit. Important and imperative that you get it absolutely right. Xander Van Dijken now heading up towards the line to get qualifying well and truly underway here towards the end. The final part of qualifying, P5, is all that Xander can get. I'm sure that could be usurped. What about Luke Smith? Oh, he's made a mistake again. Luke Smith, a huge mistake there. And Tomek Paragic, who is just quickly following him up, could have been caught up in all that.
Coming off the circuit, Luke Smith, he's lost some crucial time there. He's managed to keep it on the road for at least at this point, as here he comes in towards the to cross the line. It is going to be P6 for him. Tomek Paragic comes across the line, and it's going to be P6 for him. I'm seeing everyone's leaving the session at the moment.
We've had an issue here, Dan. We have had an issue. We've had a bit of an issue. The actual session has ended abruptly. So what I can tell you, the biggest anti-climax in the history of league racing. We have just seen. On my screen. Well, not on my screen. Dan, give us some radio commentary.
Well, they've all just finished their laps, unfortunately, George. So Thomas Ronhaar managed to improve again. He did a 1 minute 22.069, and that was enough to get him pole position at the end of it all. Jan Opmeer, however, is on the front row with him. It is P1 and P2 for our championship rivals. Jan Opmeer, though, almost a quarter of a second back from his fellow countryman. Daniele Haddad is third, fourth for Jake Benham. Fifth is Duncan Hoffman, sixth is Ismail Fashi. Xander Van Dijken is seventh, eighth for Paragic. Chana Kinchi is ninth, and 10th is Luke Smith. I don't know if this is still going to stand here. I have the grid at the moment, but I think, George, we're gonna have a we might have a lobby restart.
I've got, there's a word in my head. I'm trying to think what it is. Is it dire? No, I can't do it. No, I can't do it, guys. Unbelievable, honestly. Of all the things that you expect to see, I'm seeing an Italian flag. I'm seeing Monza. No, I'm sorry. No, we're not going to go down there, folks. We're not going down that road. What a moment, indeed. I can now tell you that everyone has left the session, folks. But yes, incredible. And as I said, an anticlimax, really, of all things, really, Danfield. Yeah. We just witnessed what could have been a tremendous finale to Q3. Unfortunately, that has come to an end. And all I can tell you is, folks, is that we will keep you posted as to what will happen. I mean, obviously, we did have somewhat of a qualifying session. I would think that Ronhaar should be on pole.
Yeah, I think he has to be. I'm gonna check in the tier 1 chat what's actually going on, but like, I'm so confused. I mean, they were all doing their laps on my screen and stuff, so I don't know how everyone's game could have crashed, but I don't know what's going on here. I mean, apparently there was only 2 people, and yeah, there was only 2 people left in the session. One of them was me. So I don't know what's happened here. I think Carter, something about Carter Lundy rejoining the session, and then it crashed, and then I think that might have crashed it for everyone. I don't know what's going on.
So if we're playing the blame game, then it's Carter's fault.
Carter Lundy.
Yeah. Why does that not surprise me, folks? No, I'm joking. No, it's fine. No, it's a big shame, isn't it? I mean, we almost got to see a clinic towards the end of qualifying. Credit to Thomas Ronhaar, though, yet again, he was on top through Q1. We've got to talk about his pace because he has been brilliant all season long. I did allude to his 3 race wins this season, but we did not talk about his sprint race win as well, Dan, because he did take the sprint race win at Bahrain as well. So you could say that he had 4 wins to his name this season. So, I mean, a man who is currently sat second in the championship with 4 wins against the man who's in P1 that has got 2 race wins, sort of leads you to believe that Ronhaar could be very much the favourite in this fight.
Absolutely, of course, the consistency of Jan Opmeer and just competing in more races is what's brought him to this point. I mean, he's got, what is it? That's a lot of podiums I'm seeing there. I'm trying to count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 podiums for Jan Opmeer this season. He's only been off the podium 4 times in this season when he's been starting. So, you know, Jan Opmeer, the consistency is key from him. Thomas Ronhaar, though, arguably, he is the man with the momentum at the minute, and following up on such a strong qualifying session, I really do think that he is going to be in the best position to win this Grand Prix. However, of course, Jan Opmeer, he comes second. The championship goes the way of the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, at this moment in time, we're just waiting to hear what's happening in terms of the grid, folks. We have got people discussing it. There is a lot of discussion going on. I can confirm to you now, EJ, that there is not going to be a wet race at Abu Dhabi, unfortunately. That's probably not something we're going to see. But we're just watching. We're just seeing. I think they are running from Q3.
I'm seeing grid. I'm seeing in the Discord chat, Luke Humperdinck himself has said grid from first runs of Q3, which means if I go back in the stream a little bit here, that is, I would imagine, have Thomas Ronhaar on top, Daniele Haddad in P2, P3 for Opmeer, Benham in P4, P5 is Van der Van Zyken, P6 for Akinci, Duncan Hoffman 7th, Fassi 8th, 9th for Luke Smith, and then Tomek Paradzic in P10. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. If I could get confirmation in the live chat, that would be very, very helpful. But I think this isn't the best way to really start off the final race of what's been a tumultuous season 13 of WOR on the PC platform in Tier 1. But, you know, the show must go on, George.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. I'm pleased to say that I have received an invite, folks, so we are going to get back to it. If you've just joined us and you're wondering what's going on here, we have had a little issue towards the end of qualifying. The lobbies have pretty much just is pretty much just blown up right in front of us. So we're going to be starting from the first runs in Q3. That, of course, means that Ronhaar is on pole position, which, to be honest, doesn't come necessarily as a surprise, judging off what we saw in Q1 and Q2. But once again, adding yet another pole to his name. And not only that, Jana Opmeer in P2. Duncan Hofland will be in third. Jake Benham in fourth. Duncan Hofland fifth, should I say. And further back as well was Daniel Iadad in third. Incidentally, Ishmael Fassi in sixth. Sander van Dijk in seventh. Tomek Pragis eighth. Ninth for Chana Kinchi. Luke Smith 10 out of the top 10 towards the end. So there you go, folks. That is the grid. We're going to be going into this race, the final race of the championship, with the two championship contenders, the two top championship contenders in Ps1 and Ps2 on the grid. You can't get much better than that, can you, Dan?
Absolutely. I mean, this is really teeing up to be a fantastic finale to this season. So the times, the grid order that we've got now is what I was able to see on my screen. I don't know who else it didn't crash for. I mean, I'm just as confused as anyone else, because I was able to keep watching and the cars are still going around as if nothing happened, but I could see everyone was leaving the lobby at the bottom and stuff. So a little bit of confusion there, but yeah, Thomas Ronhaar on pole position with a 1 minute 22.069. Tough to beat that lap, honestly, and I think that is why he was over he was almost 2.5 tenths above anyone else in this session. So Thomas Ronhaar, well, he's certainly taking the fight to Jana Opmeer.
He certainly has, and these two are going to be fighting here at the start of Abu Dhabi as well. I can't wait to call this one, folks. Obviously, when we hit pedal to the metal, it's going to raise the roof at Yas Marina, to say the least. Obviously, please let us know who you think is going to win this race, folks. Who is going to be crowned champion? There's literally only a matter of 8 points in between these top two contenders. And obviously that can make, that can be decided with Thomas Ronhaar taking a win, Jarno finishing outside the top two. I mean, if he comes outside of the top three, I mean, he needs to ideally get a podium at the very least, Jana Opmeer, just to make sure of the title. But nevertheless, coming into this one, Thomas Ronhaar, you would not write him off taking the big points here today, Dan. I mean, given the form that he's in, I mean, if you push aside what happened at Brazil last time, taking a victory at the USA, followed that up with Suzuka as well, he has taken the big results where he needed them most. A little slip at Brazil, but essentially that might only refocus him heading into Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, it's completely unfazed him, I'd say. I mean, that Brazil race was really just out of character, I'd say, for Thomas Ronhaar. He's in such a strong position beforehand. He's won 2 races in a row at that point. He'd been on the podium 3 times in a row as well, from Mexico to USA to Japan. So to have that poor of a result in Brazil, I really thought it would have knocked his confidence. Headed into this one, I definitely do think he is going to be the favourite to win this race. However, is Jana Opmeer really going to think of it that way? Is he going to try and take the fight to Thomas Ronhaar and win this race, or is he going to sit back in P2 and win this championship? I think I know what the answer is going to be, and I think it's that the Dutchman, he's got that fighting spirit, and no matter what the result is, he'll want to be ahead of his rivals.
Yeah, he certainly will be. And it's not just, I mean, I know this is not F1 esports, folks, but, league racing such as this sets the precedence for what we will expect to see in just under a week's time. Both of these guys not only fighting for the WR Championship, but also the F1 Esports Pro Championship as well. Could this be the precursor of what we could yet still see heading into this week's final event? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be intriguing. I personally cannot wait for this one. Abu Dhabi has certainly shown that indeed Thomas Ronhaar is the quickest man on the grid, given the fact that his pace in qualifying has simply been outrageous. I mean, Q1, 2 and 3 being fastest in every single session is a statement, to say the least. A wonderful display from him, and as we head into yet another race, the final race of this season after such a tumultuous season, plenty of results swinging left, right and centre. We've had so many different race winners. In fact, we can go through them all now. I mean, Jana Opmeer taking wins, Thomas Ronhaar, Ruben Pedreno. I mean, we could talk about Lucas Blakely as well. At the start of the season, 4 out of the first 5 races he took first place with 1 P2 in between of all that. A sensational record. He came into this final race, of course, one of the championship contenders, but because he's not here and hasn't been necessarily here for the majority of this season, he will not be contesting tonight. But mathematically, he could have been in the fight tonight.
It would have been quite funny, I'd say, actually, if we had Lucas Blakely after not racing in WOR Season 13 since round number 5, still be in the title fight, and then come right at the end on round number 15 and snatch the title away from Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar or from Pedreno at this point. I would have found that very funny, but it wasn't meant to be. I did ask if we were going to have Lucas Blakely tonight, and unfortunately it was confirmed he's not going to be here. We are getting everyone in the lobby. We're just missing one more driver at this point. I'm gonna name and shame at this point. We are missing one of the Mercedes. Jake Benham needs to get in the lobby, and just so I say that, he is in the lobby. So we have all 20 drivers at the moment, George. Just need to get the grid sorted out, and then we'll get ready for this 29-lap race around the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. It's been home to some great title finishes in Formula 1, and I think tonight is certainly going to provide.
Yeah, of course, alluding to what you were just saying about Jake Benham, I did see a funny picture shared by the Mercedes F1 Esports account earlier on with Jake Benham in a boat sleeping as such. And they all say that apparently he sleeps a lot, and that it is a constant fact. So you would not be wrong if you said that he might have been sleeping as opposed to jumping into the lobby. But nevertheless, he is here and is racing, so we will see him take to the grid here tonight. Plenty of drivers, though, that are looking to try and stamp their authority on this grid lineup, even though that they're not necessarily in the championship fixtures. But the likes of Daniele Haddad, this is a huge opportunity for the Italian here at this stage. He's been absolutely brilliant, of course, this season. We've just seen as well his form in qualifying, outrageous pace, really, right in the mix of the top 3 in all sessions. You know, could this be a podium? Could this be a win for Daniele Haddad as well, Danfield?
I'd really like to see that. I think Daniele Haddad, he's a very competent driver, and he's been a part of the F1 esports scene for, I can remember, quite a long time, as long as I've been a part of it at least. So Haddad, it is great to see him still kicking about, and I know he's one of the older guys on the grid as well, so he is certainly still taking it to the young lads, and I think it would definitely be a win for everyone if Daniele Haddad were to come out victorious this evening. But is he going to be able to stand up to the likes of Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar? That remains to be seen. Let us know, everyone, in the live chat who you are supporting in this race. Not who you think you will win, but who you are a fan of. And I know already, George, what the common theme is going to be here. Yeah,
I think so. I think we saw a lot of it in qualifying. But yeah, there's going to be plenty of those fans about, to say the least. But great to have you all here as well. It's certainly a privilege. And if you haven't done so already, I know we keep saying it, but please leave a like and also subscribe as well to the WOR account. It's a pleasure to have you all here. We're about to head into the lobby for the race here this evening, the title decider here in Abu Dhabi. No better setting than the Yas Marina. A quick reminder for you guys as to what the circuit looks like. Here it is, 5.281 kilometers, that's 3.281 miles, 16 corners around this track, of course set in the heart of the United Arab Emirates, and brings us a fascinating final encounter here in this season's WOR Championship. The question will be, is it going to be Thomas Ronhaar? Is it going to be Jarno Opmeer? We will have to find out. A quick reminder as well, as to the championship standings heading into tonight, Jarno Opmeer is your current championship leader, with Thomas Ronhaar in second place. Pedreno also in the mix, but of course had that crash out earlier on. Any moment now, we will be heading into the lobby, and very soon be heading into racing action. Your final thoughts at all, Danfield? Who do you think is going to take the big result here tonight?
Well, the big result would be the championship, and I think that's going to go the way of Jarno Opmeer. If he doesn't beat Thomas Ronhaar in race trim, he's going to get that P2. I have faith in the Flying Dutchman. However, whoever takes the win, it's got to be Thomas Ronhaar. Surely, you know, he's on his way for a Grand Slam at the moment, if you include Q2 and Q1 as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, George, no formation lap, so we are about to head straight into the action as soon as all of these drivers get their strategies locked in. And I'm really looking forward to this one. It's been a great season of WOR. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and it is going to be a cracker, this one.
Yeah, we're just about to get ready, folks. The timer is ticking away. Very shortly we will be going racing. We will jump straight across to the session. Of course, the timer is ticking. As soon as we get drafted in, we will bring you the screens. Obviously, please let us know who you are going to be supporting in this race. Also, who do you think is taking the championship? It all comes down to one final drop of a hat here at a drop of a flag at Abu Dhabi as the timer ticks downwards with 3 seconds to go before this race starts. No formation lap. We're heading straight into this one. And we're going to be racing here in WOR. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, and the fifth light. And it is pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Thomas Ronhaar immediately gets off the line. So does Jarno Opmeer. Opmeer leads the way through turn one. The Mercedes hits the front. Daniel Haddad now challenging that of Ronhaar, who went off wide, heading out of turns 2 into turn 3. They are down towards turn 5 now. Benham in 4th, Duncan Offland in 5th, Fassi in 6th. But what a start from Jarno Opmeer. Got the leap of his life, and look at that. Hofland up into 4th place.
We got a McLaren spun around that room. Pedreno of his day couldn't get any worse. Well, it just has, unfortunately, and he is well and truly out of contention here. Here comes Daniel Haddad to the inside of Thomas Ronhaar, utilising the medium tyres to their full effect, using that tyre advantage, and he gets ahead. Thomas Ronhaar from pole position. He's still the lead hard runner in this race, but he is down into 3rd, and that leaves Jarno Opmeer leading at the end of the 2nd sector. It is all about George pulling that gap to the hard runners in behind, because he's going to have to pit earlier than all of his rivals, and he's going to be weaker later on in this race. And that I'd imagine, George, that is exactly what he plans to do.
The perfect start from the Flying Dutchman leads the way, as you so rightly say, he needs to build a gap. Currently sits now 7/10 per second ahead of Daniel Haddad. Ronhaar now in 3rd after getting overtaken by the Italian. A mega start from Opmeer where he needed it most. As we've now seen the cars head through the final corners here on lap 1. Opmeer already setting that quickest time of 28.465 on the medium tyre. Remember, he is on that strategy that will take him to the hards, into the deeper end of this race. He will have to start before those, or many of them, at the start of this campaign. Here are the tyre compounds. Haddad also on mediums as well. Ronhaar in 3rd, Benham in 4th, with Hofland now in 5th. Fassi in 6th, everyone on hard tyres bar Tarabukin, Opmeer and Haddad, as we're now seeing Primoz Miklavčić as well going for a move himself, looking to try and clear Iker Boehner, the inside line out of turn 5, but still Boehner managing to get, well, certainly remain side by side with that of the Red Bull. Of course, Boehner, a hot shot of a qualifier, trying to look to, well, weave his way through this field, already up into 16th place and still trying to attack it. Oh, there's been an incident. Not the best of camera angles, folks, but we could not barely see it. It's quite a close view, but an incident there sees Miklavčić make a mistake.
Yeah, Jack West being let back through by the Red Bull driver. I think that was on Miklavčić there, unfortunately, sending the AlphaTauri driver into a little bit of a half spin there, and he's let him back through. Fair play to him. But at this point, George, we've got Jarno Opmeer, lap number 2. He's headed on to lap 3. He's got a second advantage to Daniel Haddad, and I think the more crucial gap is the gap between Haddad and Ronhaar, which is also above 1 second. So that means the Haas man is not going to be able to utilise the DRS down that long back straight, and of course headed in towards turn number 6, and then of course in towards turn number 9 as well. I think one of the other crucial things to take away at this point is that Ronhaar has been able to keep Jake Benham at bay at the moment, which is going to be key, because of course, being Mercedes F1 Esports teammates, he's definitely going to want to help out Jarno Opmeer take the title tonight, and if he can take the fight to Thomas Ronhaar, certainly going to be helping out the Flying Dutchman here.
Yeah, Jack West managing to also get ahead of Carter Lundy, of course, through this first sector, and now holds on to 15th spot. So a great start indeed for Jack West, and he'll look to try and hold on to it. Of course, trying to now recover the gap that was lost between that of Iker Boehner and Primoz Miklavčić after that issue. It's now all on Jack West to try and hold on to it, but with no DRS, it leaves him very much in dire straits, as we're now seeing Carter Lundy look to try and attack that of Jack West, who now leaves the door open for Miklavčić. Immediately, these two getting almighty, well, very spicy indeed. In comes Pedreno as well, who is very much out of the championship fight at this stage, should he remain where he is. Pedreno leaping through past that of Miklavčić, side-by-side contact between the pair. Pedreno being run off wide, through goes Miklavčić. He'll now move ahead of that of Carter Lundy and Pedreno as well.
Yep, I think a little bit of a correction there from Carter Lundy, sends himself into Pedreno. I'd say there's no foul play at that point, but Carter Lundy certainly had a scrappy race, and it's only lap number 4. I really do feel for Ruben Pedreno because that move was certainly on, and fair play to him as well. His spirit is undying, even though he's out of the championship fight at the moment. He's way down the order, and he's well off the back of any semblance of points. He's still fighting in this race as Carter Lundy once again taking to the extremities of the circuit. I'd say it's really going to be frustrating the Spaniard in behind as headed up towards turn number 5. He's going to look to the inside line of the Alfa Romeo potentially. Hard to go up the inside through here, but Carter running very deep. Pedreno's going to get a decent run on the outset of the corner, foot flat to the floor, opening up the DRS using the battery, and he's finally going to get by on Carter Lundy, who hasn't got that DRS advantage on pretty much McLavchich ahead of him. And there it goes, Ruben Pedreno up into 17th.
Yeah, up into 17th place, and we'll hold on to it at least for now. Carter Lundy seems to be struggling with those limits a little bit, just dipping very deep onto the curbs and very deep into the circuit as well when taking those corners through turns 1, for example. Hence this battle we have since had between him and Pedreno. Further up though, Jarno Opmeer now 1.3, nearly 1.4. In fact, he's got over 1.4, nearly 1.5 ahead of that of Daniele Haddad. Thomas Ronhaar still remains in 3rd. Remember though, he's on the hard tyres. Jake Benham still on his tail as well as we now look right to the front end. You can see there in the distance, Jarno Opmeer leading the way. Haddad in 2nd, Ronhaar just in behind him as well, with Benham in 4th, Hofland in 5th, Fassim behind him in 6th as well. Chanakinchi still there in 9th. Carter Lundy with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. We did see him breeze through a lot of those track limits, as I said to you earlier, and in fact it has led to a retirement. Carter Lundy out of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate. It's our first retirement on lap number 5, and really unlucky for Carter Lundy, but he was struggling quite a lot. So he might have had some form of damage, or maybe a form of wheel issue, or something to do with his pedals. We're not too sure at this point in time, but all we know is that he is out of this race. Smooth sailing at the minute for Jarno Opmeer. Daniele Haddad kept at bay quite nicely actually, 1.2 seconds in behind. Not pulling much of a gap anymore though to Thomas Ronhaar, and in the next few laps we're going to start to see the medium tyres begin to wear off, and those hards strapped onto the likes of Ronhaar, Benham and Hofland, they are going to phase into this race, so we have to watch out for them at this point in time. In that DRS terrain, it is very difficult for all these drivers in behind to make the move, but I think as these tyres begin to wear out, more mistakes coming out from the drivers, they are going to be able to battle a lot harder. I'm seeing now as well, Ben Jabberconny beginning to slip off the back of that top 10, could give an opportunity to Alvaro Carreton, who's found himself in a position we wouldn't typically see him. He's outside the points, he's in P12, but he is right on the back of the hat being donned by Ben Jabberconny. He save up some of his battery, and surely the Spaniard's going to go for it soon.
Yeah, of course, Alvaro Carreton taking a podium this season, in fact 2 podiums to his name, taking one at Suzuka, and he took 3rd place at Silverstone as well. No less a man that's very talented behind the wheel of a car. Makes his way down towards the hairpin bend at turn 5, and he'll then head out towards the next straight before venturing into turn 6 and 7. He is currently behind Ben Jabberconny. Valentin Thivard, who we've currently got in our picture, just in behind him in the AlphaTauri as well. We've got a string of cars, currently all of them near enough within the DRS train, though there is a gap now starting to spring out between Jabberconny and Luke Smith. And Ben Jabberconny will want to try and reel that gap straight back in, otherwise he's going to lose DRS. Incidentally, we have got a little battle happening between that of Luke Smith and Chanakinchi, and Luke Smith managing to dispatch Chanakinchi and move up into 9th place.
There goes Alvaro Carreton in towards P11 around the outside. Turn number 9 of Ben Jabberconny. Not much battling going, well, not much of a fight really put up from Jabberconny there, but plenty of overtakes at this point. And one thing I've noticed here, George, is that Jarno Opmeer beginning to lose a bit of time to Daniele Haddad. The pair of them pretty low on battery. They've only got, they're sub 20%. Thomas Ronhaar got 60% in his battery. So at the moment, you've got to say the advantage is going the way of Thomas Ronhaar. We'll have to wait and see how this pans out for these drivers, because if Opmeer and Daniele Haddad, they get caught out later on in this race when they're on the worst tyres, it is really going to hurt their runs, and it could lose Jan Opmeer the title at this point.
Yeah, Daniele Haddad, I think, might have got DRS as well down this long straight. We'll soon find out whether he has or not. He does open up the rear wing, so credit to the Italian. He's managed to get himself back into this race as well. Was outside of that second gap at the start of the previous lap, has since reeled it in that final sector, and has now brought himself into the fight between him and the Flying Dutchman as they now work their way through this next section. They'll head through this next in-swinging left-hander as well, and down through towards the latter stages of this particular point on the circuit. They're going to be coming in towards turn 9, where they will swing the cars around. Of course, like I said before, this used to be another chicane. Of course, now more of a swift swinging hairpin. Thomas Ronhaar now starting to lose a little bit of tread on those in front of him. 0.2 of a second has now gone out. So it might be the case that Jarno and Daniele might decide to work together here, try and bring that deficit outwards, because they know that they're both on the same strategies. It doesn't make sense to have the fight this early in the race here, Danfield.
Yeah, that is certainly pushing though, and he is catching to the back of Jan Opmeer. I wonder if he does want to fight at this point, but it really would not make any sense, as at this point in time, I've just seen someone ask who would be championship who would win the championship as it stands. It would go the way of Jan Opmeer. He's coming to this race leading the title. He's now leading this race. However, later on in the Grand Prix, I think it's going to be a different story when Jan Opmeer is going to be on the inferior tyres to Thomas Ronhaar in behind. As here they go with DRS. We'll see if Daniele Haddad does look to try and catch. Ronhaar is almost within that DRS range as well of the Italian, so we could see the Haas come into play here. He's getting very close, but I just think through the detection point, he's not going to have it. It's off the exit of turn number 7 through here up towards turn number 8, and I don't think he's got it.
No, he has not at the moment, but that time gap has been reeled straight back in. Thomas Ronhaar finding the pace here right now, which is certainly interesting to say the least. If you want a reminder of the point situation, folks, here it is. Jarno Opmeer heading into this final title fight with 144 points, with Thomas Ronhaar on 136. Ruben Pedreno 125 to his name. Of course, Pedreno currently sat in 15th place. Opmeer still with the advantage as things stand, but we've still got a whole pit stop phase to go through just yet, and not to mention one final stint where we'll see the cars sort of fly their way around this circuit towards the checkered flag, and we'll have to see who comes out on top in that situation. As it stands, it will be the Flying Dutchman, but albeit we've got plenty more to come through this race. Ronhaar, not forgetting, he has now broken the DRS, and he's on that harder compounder tyre as well. How crucial could this be, Danfield?
Absolutely, he is going to be flying at this point in the race now within that DRS range of Daniele Haddad, and arguably he's got the superior tyres at this point. Those hards have well and truly phased in. There it is, you can see the little letterbox at the rear wing of the Haas car has opened. He is now within DRS range, and Jan Opmeer could be coming under pressure from Daniele Haddad as they break in towards turn number 6 and head through turn number 7. We could see a potential move through turn number 9 here if Daniele Haddad chooses to use some of the battery and close up to the back of the Flying Dutchman in that silver hour as they head down this short back straight. It's not going to be just yet. That makes his intentions clear. If Haddad wanted to go for that move, he would have taken that opportunity and absolutely ran away with it. But for now, he's just going to sit in behind Jan Opmeer, seemingly, George, struggling for pace, I'd say. Yeah, well, Haddad actually looked for that tiger line heading through that inside, coming through turn 10 and 11. You do have to wonder whether he did fancy a little go at it, but now making their way through this latter sector. They've got 2 corners still to go on this particular lap, 15 and 16, now rounding this final bend. Of course, we're already lap 9, now into lap 10 of 29. The gap has now been closed right together now. Ronhaar back in the fight now. And this is perfect for Thomas Ronhaar because, of course, on this stint, to be on the hard tyres and in proximity of your title contender who's on medium tyres, huge chance here. And Ronhaar, indeed, with a mega chance here to try and take P2 away from Daniele Haddad, which would be absolutely perfect here for the Dutchman, as they're now watching the pair now come around turn 5. Indeed, DRS will open up again, but thankfully for Daniele Haddad, he can utilise the DRS to stay ahead of Thomas Ronhaar. But will that be enough as they now head in towards the next chicane? If Ronhaar can get another great exit
from this particular set of corners. He might have a chance heading around turn 8 as he now head out of the bends. It certainly looked like Ronhaar carried the better grip coming out to the corner. The rear wing opens up as they now head down through towards turn 9. Is Ronhaar going to go for it? Not quite, but he is right up close and personal. The top 3 all within 0.4 of a second of each other.
That all started with a wiggle through turn number 3 from Daniele Haddad. These tyres are really falling off, as Dylan Warren does put it. The medium tyre drop-off is insane, by the way. That is clear to see. Haddad, more incidentally, has got a time penalty. He's run wide off the exit of turn number 13, headed into 14, and now he's got a 3-second time penalty to his name. It's all falling apart for these medium runners at this point, and Thomas Ronhaar surely is going to be relishing in this opportunity as they head down in towards the first few corners. No DRS in towards turn number 1. Once again, a bad run for Haddad, and he gets on the curb on the exit. Ronhaar's got to go around the outside. Haddad gives him the space on the inside, but he's given up that position way too easily. However, Ronhaar has lost DRS now to Jan Opmeer, so we could see a potential fight back from Daniele Haddad, but a scary moment for the Williams driver. Is he going to try and get this one back? I'm not too sure, George.
Well, I tell you what, Ronhaar does not have DRS, so it's now or never for Haddad, who will want to try and take the place back. Goes for the outside line, heading up through towards turn 6, but Ronhaar immediately shutting that door, manages to close him off, heading out of turn 7 as well. Big moment here in lap 11. Still Ronhaar holds on to second, not able to be usurped by that of Daniele Haddad, the Italian, unable to unlock that pace from the Dutchman, and immediately already Ronhaar has reclaimed the DRS on Jarno Opmeer, which is a perfect situation for him to be in right now.
Absolutely, and Daniele Haddad once again making a mistake in that first sector. Jake Benham is right behind him, and all of a sudden this race has been blown wide open. Your 2 championship contenders leading 1 and 2 in this race on differing compounds of tyre. When is Jan Opmeer going to try and pit? Is he going to take the hards? Is he going to extend it to go onto the softs towards the end of the race? This is just, so many question marks at the moment. But one thing that we do know is that Thomas Ronhaar, with the better resources at hand, with the better tyres and with the better overall pace, surely he's going to be all over the back of the Flying Dutchman, headed down in towards turn number 5.
Yeah, we have a mega chance now coming into the next left at turn 5, and he will have DRS on Jarno Opmeer. The question is, does he go for the move now? He's got the pace. I mean, at the end of the day, it will keep him right up close and personal with the Flying Dutchman. Of course, both of these drivers come from the Netherlands as well, as we're now seeing the pair of them head through towards the next chicane. Jarno Opmeer might have to defend here on the outset of turn 7. He might be in a little bit of trouble because Ronhaar, who certainly has the pace and will certainly know without a doubt make a move here on Jarno Opmeer. The 2 Dutchmen come together. Ronhaar with the outside line takes the lead here in lap 12 of 29 as he makes his way around turn 9. Perfect timing for Thomas Ronhaar on the hard tyres ahead of Jarno Opmeer, who's on the mediums on his initial stint. Perfectly teed up for a championship fight. The 2 of them, 1 and 2.
If I'm not mistaken, George, if it stays this way, Jarno Opmeer wins the title by 1 point. So Thomas Ronhaar has got to do his best to push him back into his rivals. It's going to be something like Rosberg and Hamilton in 2016, where Hamilton was sandbagging on pace, trying to have Sebastian Vettel, I think it was, overtake his teammate. And we'll just have to wait and see. But Jan Opmeer, he is still in this championship fight. He still is your champion as it stands. However, as this race progresses and as the tyres begin to wear off on the medium runners, surely it is going to be a massive challenge to keep all of his rivals in behind.
Well, I can tell you is this, is Jarno Opmeer has got 30% of ERS in his tank right now. He's trying to be sparing with it. I mean, at this moment in time, has forfeited a second gap already to that of Thomas Ronhaar, who holds on to the lead of the race now, very nearly dipping out to beyond DRS at the moment in terms of the delta. But as things stand, it will still be Jarno Opmeer taking the title. Ronhaar on top, Xander van Dijken with a 5-second penalty as well. Incidentally, earlier on we saw Ruben Pedreno also pick up a time penalty. Opmeer, though, under pressure here from Daniele Haddad as well, who's also got a penalty, but that won't faze the Italian. Right up in behind the silver arrows of Jarno Opmeer, but watch out for Jake Benham as well. 4th place for him. Big points on the table for Mercedes, should they be able to close out the race today.
love to see Jake Benham get onto the podium, especially after disappointment from last race in Brazil, of course, 2 weeks ago. At this point, it feels like it was just yesterday that we were seeing that epic battle, and there it is. Jan Opmeer and Daniele Haddad at the end of lap number 13, head on to lap number 14. They're going to peel off into the pit lane. These medium tyres, they cannot take it anymore. It's going to be a set of the hard compound tyre for Jan Opmeer. He'll run to the end, and these next few laps, George, are going to be absolutely crucial. He's got to come out in clear air and have the best pace possible. Got yellow flags in the first sector. That is Pedreno retiring in the pit lane, but it was one of the Aston Martins. I believe that is Sander van Dijken going around.
Well, that confirms that the championship is down to 2. It is between Jarno Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar. They're going to be the ones to be decided for the championship, the WOR championship. Who's it going to? Is it going to be Thomas Ronhaar? Is it going to be Jarno Opmeer? It's so imperative for the Flying Dutchman that he is able to go clear. He's got 55% ERS in his tank right now. Now or never for the Flying Dutchman. He needs to start making some moves. Daniele Haddad also making his way down the straight in behind that of Jarno Opmeer, unable to make a move on this occasion, but you cannot deny the presence and the threat of that Williams there, Danfield.
Absolutely, and if they start battling, Haddad is out for himself at this point, I would say. He's got no influence. He's going to have major influence on this title fight, but it's not going to affect him at all. So he can freely go for this move and think about his own race at this point. That is going to be to the dismay of Jarno Opmeer, who's just got to get these tyres up to temperature, make up as much time as possible to have that advantage over the likes of Ronhaar and Benham, as we've got Ismail Fassi into the pit lane, as is Sabo Konyi, as is Valentin Thibard. So they're all coming off of the hard compound of tyre. They'll be fitting on a medium set, and they'll be going towards the end of this Grand Prix. I don't know where it's going to go from this point, George, but I'm liking where it's heading.
I'm certainly liking it too, but let's have a look at Ronhaar at the top end. 1.9 seconds now clear of Jake Benham. He is certainly on a charge. He knows that this is the time to send it. This is very crucial. The next few laps leading towards his in-lap are vital to this championship fight. Of course, Opmeer already coming in and moving on to that set of hard tyres. Of course, Ronhaar be swapping to the mediums, but we saw the degradation, the tyre fall off from that compound earlier on, and certainly you do have to wonder whether the hards might be better for the latter stint. Maybe that's what Opmeer is thinking. I prefer to be on that set of tyres for the majority of this race.
Yeah, the medium drop-off, as we saw from earlier on at this point, they drop off very, very quickly. And so if Jan Opmeer is on the hards by the end of the race, and he's going to be in a better position than the likes of Ronhaar, well, he could certainly take the fight back to him. But at this point, I'd imagine that the Dutchman in the Haas car is going to pit at the end of this lap. And actually, no, he's going to stay out for at least one more tour. What about Jake Benham, Duncan Hoffland? They're all staying out for at least a few more laps. There it is. Chanakinchi is coming into the pit lane. So this certainly is the pit window for the hard compound of tyre. And there's also one key thing to note. Of course, if Thomas Ronhaar and Jan Opmeer end up on equal points, Thomas Ronhaar wins the championship on countback. So remember that factor headed into the last few laps in this race.
Yeah, could be vital as well. We've seen also some mix-ups happening further up as well. More cars coming into the pit lane. Chanakinchi in the box as well for Red Bull. And he's going to be making a change as well. Jarno Opmeer now up into P9 on track, as well as Daniele Haddad in P10 as well, just in behind, has maintained that half a second delta between the pair. Thomas Ronhaar again still pursuing that greater delta between him and Jake Benham, 1.6. So I will say Jake Benham has made little inroads since we last checked. It's sort of staggered around the 1.7s, 1.6s, but Benham working hard to stay in proximity of Thomas Ronhaar. No doubt Jarno would like him to go to work on Thomas Ronhaar in order to bring that delta right back down, so that when Opmeer has got these tyres up to temperature, which I would certainly imagine he has now, Thomas Ronhaar will be coming out, hopefully, in the midst of all his traffic. But let's go back to the battle as we're seeing it. In comes Daniele Haddad now, looking for the move on Jarno Opmeer, and has made it, heading through this next left at turn 9. But what about the McLaren? Ismail Fassi also fancies a go at the Silver Arrows, gets ahead of the Flying Dutchman. He's into P10, Opmeer down to 11th.
That's championship defining at this point. If Jan Opmeer cannot recover that position, Thomas Ronhaar will be winning this title. And we'll see how this affects the rest of the race. Tommy Paragis and Luke Smith, they both come into the pit lane. Ronhaar, Benham and Hofland all staying out on circuit, as is Alvaro Carreton. They are the last of the leaders to still be on the set of the hard compound tires that they started this race on. Jan Opmeer now in P9 on circuit. He's a net P4 at the moment. He might come out ahead of Thomas Ronhaar, but I'd imagine with the difference in pace between the mediums and the hards, that Thomas Ronhaar is going to have no trouble dispatching Jan Opmeer. And is this the point, George, where Jan Opmeer can see the title slipping away from him?
Well, I've been very impressed with Fassi lately, and yet again going for moves, this time on Daniel Haddad. Fassi moving up into 7th place. Yet another great drive from this young man, who's been brilliant in PSGL, and his pace has lit up this season. Of course, in this WOR Championship, driving the McLaren in this race at Abu Dhabi, and has been absolutely sensational in this stint of the game, and is now starting to close up on Primoz Miklavčić on track. Jack West also in the mix on this one too, but they of course yet to box as well. Jack West currently 13.2 seconds in behind that of Alvaro Carreton. A little mistake there as well. Fassi very nearly getting undone by Primoz Miklavčić. Outside line, gets ahead yet again. The pace on this young man is absolutely unrelenting.
Can we have an outside chance of a race win from Ismail Fassi? I would certainly not be opposed to that. We've seen Jake Benham and Duncan Hofland coming into the pit lane for a set of the medium compound tires. If they can get that one lap undercut, particularly for Jake Benham, he can get that undercut on Ronhaar. He could be ahead coming out of the pit lane, and maybe he could do his work his magic, try and hold up that Haas man and give his teammate the titles. Once again, George Ismail Fassi on the back of Jack West. There's really going to be no competition between 3-lap-old mediums and 17-lap-old hards. He's not going to try for it into the hairpin at turn number 5, but off the exit, I'd imagine just on traction alone, he's going to be able to soar right by of the AlphaTauri. There it is, drawing alongside Ismail Fassi. He's made up another place.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's making the moves and he's making them stick as well. Up to 3rd on track. Jack West as well up as well. Daniel Haddad also making moves ahead of Primoz Miklavčić, and Jan Opmeer now being held up by this traffic. That's the last thing he needs, because Ronhaar has got free air. He's got no issues. He can essentially come in soon, because we know that Benham has already boxed. Here comes Jan Opmeer now, this time on Primoz Miklavčić. Inside line out of turn 9, makes it stick, and certainly up into P6 as well, just in behind that of Daniel Haddad, and is now looking to try and yet pursue more places. Ronhaar now, crucial moment in this race, he is coming to the pits.
Well, he's going to be jumped by quite a few drivers. I think he'll be behind Duncan Hofland and Jake Benham, certainly after their tyres are up to temperature. Here he is getting his car serviced. Jan Opmeer just headed now through turn number 16. He's in the wheel tracks of Daniel Haddad as they come down the start-finish straight. Thomas Ronhaar just exiting the pit lane, and what is going to be the delta between the pair of them. Jan Opmeer soaring his way through turn number 2. Ronhaar exiting the pit lane now, and he is right behind his rival.
He is right behind his rival, Jan Opmeer, but on medium tyres, crucially enough. They will be the faster tyre, but not to mention Jano has obviously got his up to temperature already. The question is, how quickly can Thomas Ronhaar get his up to temperature, and not only that, dispatch the Flying Dutchman and make serious inroads. We've got a huge battle further back as well. Tommy Paragis holding on to 6. In comes Miklavčić on the outside. Also through Jake Benham in on the inside. Oh, it's the All-Star looking to make a serious move. Duncan Hofland up into 8th as well, ahead of Chad Kinchi, with Luke Smith as well in the mix. It's a cluster of cars, a galaxy, as they head through this next left. In comes Jake Benham, inside line again, as he comes through turn 9. The Mercedes with a nose in front. He is in front, just as on side by side with his Veloce counterpart. But Benham holds on to P6.
Incredible battling that we are seeing here, but I don't believe it's over yet, because look at the difference between Jan Opmeer and Thomas Ronhaar. Just under 0.2 of a second headed in towards turn number 16. They'll be beginning lap number 20 here. Look at the difference in pace between Ronhaar and Jan Opmeer off the exit. of the corner. Surely down in towards turn number 5. That's going to be prime opportunity for the Dutchman to make a move on his fellow countrymen as they head through turn number 2 and up through turn number 3, right on the rear of the Mercedes. He has to look to the outside line. Thomas Ronhaar, this could be the move that makes the championship. Jan Opmeer braking later off the exit of the corner. Who's going to get the better run? It's going to be Thomas Ronhaar utilising the DRS. Here he comes in the wheel tracks of Jan Opmeer, defending to the inside line. Does the Flying Dutchman. Jan Opmeer now feeling the pressure from Ronhaar. They're catching Haddad in all of this as he's been boxed in. Haddad has boxed in Thomas Ronhaar. Thomas Ronhaar can't go through. Surely now in towards turn number 9 as they hit the DRS straight once again. Here he comes for the move for the championship. It's not going to happen at this point. Jan Opmeer, valiant defence on Thomas Ronhaar here on lap number 20.
Brilliant racing from these two great champions, two of them that are contesting for the F1 Esports title as well. But here tonight, the WOR Esports Championship is being contested here in the PC tier, the top tier of racing, where you see the best in, week out, here on your screens on every Sunday night. We'll watch them here live right now around Yas Marina. It is Jan Opmeer in third place. Thomas Ronhaar, his title competitor, right on his rear wing as they make their way down through towards turn 1. Opmeer defending to the inside again. Ronhaar looking to go side by side through turn 1 yet again. Not this time though, or has he? Inside line with the pace and the grip of those medium tyres. They remain nose to tail, wheel to wheel, but not this time. Opmeer shuts the door. More expertise in defence, and here comes Jake Benham as well.
Oh my word, and fair play from Jan Opmeer there. That was his corner. He had every right to push Thomas Ronhaar out, but luckily they've not come to blows, and that is the main thing to take away from here. Jan Opmeer, crucially, was just within that 1 second window that he needed for the DRS, as now in towards turn number 6. Jake Benham in the mix up here. What can they do? Thomas Ronhaar with the superior exit, now going to utilise the DRS, try and stick in the wheel tracks of Jan Opmeer. Where can Jake Benham slot in this fight? Can he try and apply some pressure to the man in the Haas? Once again in towards turn number 9. There's no sense of an opportunity for an overtake. At every lap that he doesn't get by, those medium tyres begin to wither away. Thomas Ronhaar going to be so frustrated in the cockpit. They're being held up by Daniele Haddad, and he's giving the DRS to Jan Opmeer, and surely this is not what everyone expected at this point, but I'm loving every second here.
Well, access denied, says Jarno Opmeer, not letting Thomas Ronhaar through. It's every which way. Thomas Ronhaar can find it. They come together once again as they head down towards turn 1. Ronhaar now being forced to remain in behind the rear wing of that Mercedes. Jarno knows if he can keep him behind, make him use those tyres, make him wear the tread on that medium compound, eventually his hearts will be in better condition as they head down in towards turn 5. Inside line again. Does Ronhaar go for it? He will. He'll go round here in turn 5 for the move for the Flying Dutchman. On the Flying Dutchman. Ronhaar up into third on track. He's finally done it. He's knocked on the door constantly. But Opmeer already getting in his slipstream. In comes Jake Benham as well. Ronhaar defends to the inside. Opmeer trying everything he can to bring back the position. He can't find it. Benham. Through goes Benham. Benham up into 4th as well. The two Mercedes switching it up. Perantis also getting ahead of Jarno Opmeer too.
And here comes Jake Benham looking to the inside of the Haas, in towards number 9. There's contact between the pair of them. Jake Benham forcing his way through. Here comes now Tomek Perantis trying to make the move on Ronhaar. I do not believe what I am seeing, but Jake Benham has slotted himself up the inside of Thomas Ronhaar, and he's made that move stick in pretty scrappy fashion. Jan Opmeer though, tumbling down the order. He's been overtaken by Hofland and Luke Smith. What is going wrong for the Flying Dutchman? He sees the championship falling between the gaps in his fingers, and Thomas Ronhaar is now looking to be the favourite to be your season 13 WOR PC champion. What a race this has been. Jake Benham, he was able to make the move. He made the team play stick, but Jan Opmeer sent tumbling now.
Well, let me just tell you, in all this, we've been watching this fight contest. Ismail Fassi is now 1.6 seconds clear. He is on his own. Oh, Benham! Benham! Deary me, he's lost it around turn 5. Not quite sure what happened there, whether there was contact or whether the slightest move. But heading around turn 5, he has lost the car, and Ronhaar is now up into P3. A big moment And what we're hearing is there may have been some contact, but we're just seeing now some battling going on track as well. Paradis and Duncan Hoffler getting in the mix together. Ronhaar back up into the top 3 after a moment, we think, with Jake Benham. I mean, what's your take on that, Danfield?
Well, if there was contact between the pair of them, I mean, I know Jake Benham, he sometimes just can't be bothered to report a penalty, but if this is for the championship for his teammate, he might just appeal that. If Thomas Ronhaar's gone too deep on the brakes, that is going to be his fault. He is responsible for the car in front of him, and if he's gone into the back of him, surely Jake Benham, unless there was some obvious brake testing going on there, he can't be at fault. But I'm just not too sure at this point in time. We can't really point fingers anywhere, because I mean, I went on board with the issue right at the end of it, where I saw Benham spinning. I didn't actually see any contact myself, but I mean, the point of views from the drivers, that can tell a whole different story.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, this could easily go down to a steward's decision at this point. Can you imagine if that is the circumstance that we've been delivered? I mean, Opmeer, should there be a time penalty? I mean, let's talk 2 seconds, even 3 seconds. Jarno will finish ahead of Thomas Ronhaar, and that will mean the title, the championship, will be secured for Jarno Opmeer. I mean, these are so fragile moments, and in a race such as this, we've got a battle further down as well. Opmeer and Alvaro Caraton coming together this time as well. Caraton holding on to that 7th place, with Opmeer now in 8th position. He's dropped down a few more places. Of course, this is the last thing that Opmeer needs to try and get himself higher up in order to try and stay in this championship fight. And now he's got Chanakinchi in a Red Bull livery behind him at Yas Marina. Not a good omen, that, Danfield.
No, I mean, it's almost to the day. We are 364 days since that infamous moment in Abu Dhabi, and now we've got another Red Bull trailing a Mercedes as they head in towards the last few laps of this race. Thomas Ronhaar is going to solidify the deal by overtaking Daniele Haddad on circuit, even though he has got the 3-second time penalty to his name. You know, if he gets any of those warnings removed, Thomas Ronhaar obviously wouldn't take the position. So I think he just wants to solidify that, get on by, and surely this has got to be one of his best work races in his WOR season as they head down in towards turn number 5. Jake Benham still going in this race. Fair play to him. He's got himself up into 13th ahead now of Jack West. Jarno Opmeer is down in P8. However, Alvaro Caraton, who's just overtaken him, has got a 3-second time penalty, as does Tomek Paradis. So who knows what could happen in this one. Here comes Ronhaar towards the inside at turn number 6. Daniele Haddad fighting this one around the outside, but Ronhaar surely with the younger, fresher medium tyres, he's going to have the traction on the exit. However, Haddad with the DRS, he could try for the move in towards turn number 9 here, George.
Yeah, absolutely right, but Daniele Haddad far from done just yet. Outside line in towards turn 9. We've seen so much action through this portion of the circuit. Ronhaar holding on to that inside, and that's going to help him massively through this latter sector. Haddad still with that 3rd place, but Ronhaar in 2nd. The gap marginalised, very minor indeed. Paradis also with a penalty, locked into 4th, but Ronhaar still holding on to that 2nd spot. 1.5 seconds now in behind that of Ismail Fassi, 1.4 in behind that McLaren. Still a lot of work to do, and we've only got 4 laps still to go. Big chance here for Fassi to hold on to the lead. There we can see him just leading the way. Can Ronhaar close him down? He's not far away, 1.3 seconds. It's doable, Dan.
It's certainly doable, and I would love to see an Ismail Fassi victory. He's had it quite easy at this point, to be honest, since all the battling in behind. But if Thomas Ronhaar's able to close up, I'd imagine that he is not going to go down without a fight. So we'll see what he can do as we head onto lap number 26. No DRS for Ronhaar at the moment, but I'd imagine if he's in the wheel tracks and getting a slight hint of slipstream from the McLaren, he might just have enough of a gap to get the DRS headed down in towards turn number 9. We'll have to wait and see. It's not looking good for the Haasman at the minute, and if Ismail Fassi keeps this pace up, if he just holds Ronhaar at this 1 second window where he can't get the DRS, he'll be in a great position headed in towards the last 4 laps of this race.
Well, we will give it to Ronhaar. He has closed up the gap 0.4 of a second in the last lap alone to Ismail Fassi. So the pace very much on the side of the Haas at this stage. He's now just broken into DRS as well. So he's within Delta to open up the rear wing. So it's all on Fassi to try and hold on. A quick reminder of the tyre situation, folks. Ismail Fassi on 11 lap old medium tyres. Thomas Ronhaar has got nearly half the gap or nearly half the wear on his tyres. So you'd say, I mean, if he's managed to at least save some of the wear, despite all the battling that he's been involved in, he will be in with a chance of winning this Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see, but still Fassi leads. We've had another retirement. Jack West now out of the race. That's a massive 6 retirements in this race already. And that's Jack West out, and we can see his car actually trundling down through towards turn 9 on our track map. But there we're seeing Ronhaar in second, and has now come into half a second. Jake Benham has just overtaken Valentin Thievaard. In fact, Thievaard has lost out to Xander Van Dijk, and I think he might have lost it as well. And a time penalty for Jake Benham, but that's not the story, because Thomas Ronhaar, with the DRS opened up, is going to have a huge chance here to take the lead of the race that could be the lead for the championship as well. They head in towards turn 6 and 7. A big launch out of the chicane is what's needed for Thomas Ronhaar. He'll open up the DRS as they now make their way down towards turn 9. Big chance now for Ronhaar to scoop up the title in such fashion to win this race at Abu Dhabi as well. That would certainly mean a lot to him, to say the least, certainly leading into yet another F1 Esports weekend. Caratol and Luke Smith are also squabbling, but it's the battle for the lead that we're all watching here as they head through this next right and this next left. Fassi looks like he's running on air right now. He needs something, needs to bring out everything in order to win this Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and he does have that one last trump card. He's got 50% in the battery. Thomas Ronhaar only with 25%. So if need be, with 2 laps to go in this race, Ismail Fassi could utilise that battery in key moments to just about hold Thomas Ronhaar at bay. But surely it's going to be so difficult for him as they ride through turn number 3, heading downhill in towards turn 4 and turn 5. Ronhaar not close enough for a dive bomb move in towards this hairpin corner, but off the exit, and he gets a good run here. Slight twitch of the steering wheel for the Haas. That's going to allow for Fassi to slip away a little bit, but utilising the DRS and the slipstream of the McLaren. Here comes Thomas Ronhaar. Fassi moving over to the left-hand side ever so slightly, having to force Ronhaar the long way round, deeper on the brakes. Does the McLaren car go? Can Ronhaar look for a switchback opportunity? Is off the exit now of turn number 7, utilising the DRS once again. Enabled for Thomas Ronhaar in towards turn number 9. Surely he's got this move done. He has to go for it now to look to the outside line at the apex of the corner. Around the outside he goes. Ismail Fassi holding his own here, but surely with the inside line out of turn number 9 and in towards turn number 10, Ronhaar leads the race.
That could put to bed the championship. That could grace Thomas Ronhaar with his WOR championship win. But we'll have to wait and see. There could be some decisions to be made in the stewards' room. We'll have to wait and see, folks. Obviously, everything is unconclusive until beyond they cross the line, across the start-finish line, as we're now venturing onto the final lap. Ronhaar, after making that crucial overtake on Ismail Fassi, now heads through into the lead, 7.5 tenths of a second in front, and clearing as well, with Daniel Iadad in third. Another splendid drive from the Italian. Tomek Paragic in fourth as well, with Duncan Hoffland in his return as well, 5th place, with Alvaro Caraton in 6th. Jarno Opmeer currently sat in 9th place. If it stays like this, Thomas Ronhaar will no doubt be crowned champion here in WOR. Of course, subject to the penalties. Primoz Miklavčić disqualified from the session, failing to use the required tyre compounds. That's not something we see every day.
No, he's stuck it out. 28 laps on a set of the hard compound of tyre, but that is his day done. We've had plenty of retirements in what has been one of the most dramatic Abu Dhabi races I think I have ever seen. Ismail Fassi did his utmost to fend off Thomas Ronhaar in this one, but his pace was just undeniable from the start. He really has been in fine form. Duncan Hoffland gets by on Tomek Paragic, but it is all the focus on the man in the lead. A year ago today, around about this time, he would have been celebrating the Season 11 Championship on the Xbox platform. He's now going to come through turn number 15 and 16 in his Haas car to now cross the line. Thomas Ronhaar is going to be a 2-time champion in WOR. He wins in Abu Dhabi, and with it becomes your Season 13 PC champion. Thomas Ronhaar, take a bow.
Indeed, it was a great race. Juggernaut sport here in Abu Dhabi at Yas Marina, but it is going to be Thomas Ronhaar, your champion, subject to stewards' decisions, of course. But nevertheless, a win here at Yas Marina, and that will crown him champion should everything be all above board. Jarno Opmeer finishing in 6th place on track. It looked like he had the pace after leading the initial stint on the medium tyre, but it wasn't to be at the end. It will all be looked at, and apparently all the reports are going to be looked at immediately. We might yet get a decision while we're on air here, Danfield.
Oh my word! I'm gonna see if I can look in one of the inquiries chat maybe and see if there's anything been sent in, but I'm not too sure at the moment. I think the stewards just got to have a look at it anyway.
This doesn't happen very often. We don't usually get a situation where stewards' decisions are sorted while the broadcast is still running. So this is very much a new thing, folks. But there he is, the winner, Thomas Ronhaar. He is your champion, subject to stewards' decisions. We will, of course, let you know how that goes live here on the WOR YouTube channel. So do not go away. It's not over yet, to say the least. It feels like we've come out the race, but we've got something totally new about to come up. So, yeah, this could be fairly interesting.
I know, but for the time being, I think we need to appreciate the season that Thomas Ronhaar has had. If you include his sprint race win, that is now 6 victories in season 13. He's come from behind, and especially after a difficult race in Brazil, he's come back and he's taken the victory here today, at least on circuit. Pending any stewards results, he is your victor and champion of season 13. Of course, Jarno Opmeer, after penalties applied to the likes of Haddad, Parajic and Karaton, he is in P6. And of course, this is definitely not over. And if there was indeed contact, I don't know what to think then, George.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna. I've commented the word "blimey" in the chat because I mean everything about that is just simply blimey. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed that because I certainly did. It was a tremendous race, and this is why we love league racing, folks. I tell you what, the drama just never stops. It's a bit like off Gavin and Stacey when you hear, "Oh, we love the drama, don't we, Mick?" It is literally brilliant.
I was watching that one yesterday.
All the drama, I love it.
It's all lined up perfectly. Honestly, I mean.
It's Christmas, Dan. It's Christmas. You know, this is what we get. This is, you know, we're celebrating here. It's the festive season. But yes, it is superb. It was unreal. I mean, an incredible final race. We witnessed what I can only describe as a monster of a final race. There was a lot of contact. Did not expect all the big moves to be made in the initial stint, Dan, because generally we tend to see a lot of the drivers utilize the strategies. It tends to be a fight on the second stint. You may only see racing like that, should we say, if a driver doesn't necessarily qualify too well. But the fact that they both qualified on the front end, immediately we were seeing overtakes at the crucial moments. Ronhaar's pace on those hards was absolutely unbelievable, wasn't it?
I mean, he was incredible to be keeping up with the likes of Opmeer and Haddad. On his set of the hard compound tyres, and they really didn't utilise them to full effect. Ronhaar just comes out of nowhere on the mediums right behind Jarno Opmeer as well, and I think that was the fatal thing that ended this race, is that Ronhaar just never really dropped off in pace at any point. I mean, he was incredibly quick throughout the entirety of it. That is what allowed him to come out of the pit lane right behind Jarno Opmeer. He didn't have any traffic to clear. And I'm just seeing now, George, I'm looking in the WOR Tier 1 chat. We've got from Luke, Jake, are you reporting Thomas Ronhaar? That is problem number 1. We've just got 2 words. Well, yes. So we are indeed going to have a steward's investigation on Thomas Ronhaar after an incident with Jake Benham, sending him in a spin. I mean, I don't know what to think at this point.
But sit tight, folks. Sit tight. I'm telling you now. I'm literally shaking. The goosebumps are there. But yeah, no, this is unbelievable. We're just sitting tight right now and just waiting to find out what is being decided. I can see you laughing, Dan. I'm just looking now. Has anything been decided? I can see the inquiries already. I mean, I would anticipate that after that. I mean, there was definitely some incidents there. We have been told that there was contact around turn 5. So very likely it will go down to a steward's decision. We do know that Luke Humphreys and the rest of the stewards have asked Jake Benham if he is indeed reporting that. We are going to wait and see as to what's going to be decided, if that footage has been sent, if it's being reviewed. I mean, that alone decides the title, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a sufficient enough penalty for Thomas Ronhaar, he's way down the order. He doesn't outscore Jano Opmeer by 8 points, and that is what ends it. I've just seen the clip. I'm not going to say anything yet, but we await a steward's decision coming in very, very soon. It is certainly it is certainly going to be an interesting night on Twitter as well. I think it's the perfect time to just like let everyone know that, you know, at the end of the day, this is just league racing. You know, it's not the end of the world at any point. And I know that some people.
Dan, is it? Hang on. Whoa! Is this you trying to remove all risk of your inbox being flooded by you with accusations of saying, "Oh, we don't like Dan Field's opinion" or something like that?
Hey, I'm just making sure everyone stays happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, this is motorsport. This is esports. We love the battles. At the end of the day, this is sensational. I mean, we've witnessed many great things in league racing. We've witnessed many controversial matters in league racing. Very few times have we had a title actually decided over a steward's decision. I think this is probably the first one we've had in a long, long time. Me personally, anyway, this is probably the first one I've had in the history of me commentating league racing. So I have to tell you, this is extraordinary. We do have Jano Opmeer waiting for an interview right now. So we're going to head across to the interview screen. I'm going to pull in the Flying Dutchman to our lobby. So bear with me, folks. A big warm welcome to Jano Opmeer. Jano, long time no speak. An insane race, really, around Abu Dhabi. Yas Marina never fails to disappoint. Can you give us your thoughts on that one?
Yes, an exciting one. Strategy didn't really go the right way.
No, was it the initial? Would you have preferred to be on the other tyre, the hard tyres at the start of the race?
Yeah, looking back at it, yes, probably would have been better, just like everyone else did. But yeah, I wanted to get track position, which didn't really work because I got into traffic. But it made it hard. But yeah, that's the risk you have to take sometimes. But yeah, strategy was definitely not great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's a very fraught time for you guys. I know that you're all getting ready for F1 Esports next week. What's the preparation been like heading into this one? I mean, I know it's been a tense time, probably the most eagerly anticipated F1 Esports Championship fight in history. I mean, how difficult is it to sort of prepare for a league race when you've got that much weighing on your shoulders?
It helps that Abu Dhabi is the last race in F1 Esports as well, of course.
But, that does help, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that helps, but of course it's still a little bit different heading into F1 Esports. But yeah, preparation has been pretty good. A lot of time to prepare, of course. I think we had 6 weeks, so more than enough time to get ready. And yeah, can't wait for it.
Yeah, no, it should be an exciting one. Just thoughts on that incident. I'm not sure whether you've seen it. Is there a viewpoint from yourself as to the move made by Thomas Ronhaar at turn 5?
Yeah, it will be a penalty for sure.
Be a penalty.
It won't be a penalty. So yeah.
There we go. Well, that could yet decide the title. So it could be champion Jano Opmeer. We'll have to wait and see. There we go. We'll have to wait and see. Also, just want to say, obviously a lot of people have been checking out your content lately. Your YouTube channel, or should I say channels, have been popping off lately, Jano. How's that all been? Because you've sort of transitioned from not only professional F1 esports driver, well, from professional driver as well, and now you are, a really high-end influencer and content creator. I mean, I got to see the experience between you and George Russell for the event with Mercedes. Can you just give us an insight on that? I mean, it looked like a lot of fun over there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a bit hard to mix it with F1 Esports, of course. But yeah, especially with the help of Ethan, it comes in clutch. So yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, he's a machine when it comes to all that hard work as well. Great to have a good team around you. But Jano, great to have you in the commentary box, my friend. And congratulations on getting involved in the championship fight. I'm sure we'll await the steward's verdict and we'll get news on that. But we'll wish you all the very best. I'm sure I might get a chance to speak to you next week. Who knows?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jano. Thank you very much. We're going to bring in Duncan Hoffland as well because, in fact, Dan, I might let you interview this man. Because we'll get your insights on this. Duncan, welcome. I'm going to hand you over to Dan Field.
Hello, Duncan. Can you hear me?
I can absolutely hear you guys.
Perfect. So let's start us off with talking about your qualifying. You were quite high up the order, if I'm not mistaken. Talk us through your Q3 session.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I only had one fresh set of tires, so it basically was the one-shot qualifying. I had one old set and was a pretty bad lap, so it all came down on the final lap and managed to get a decent lap in. I was quite high on wings, so that gave me a lot of confidence, especially in the last sector, which where you can gain a lot of time. So yeah, that's how I did it.
Of course, that set you up to be right in the thick of things in the race. And at the midpoint, once everyone had pitted and we were getting towards the dying laps, there was so much battling. And you managed to come out on top. You at least survived and came out with a podium. And just talk us through your strategy headed into that massive fray.
Well, I was behind Jake, and my plan was basically just to follow him through, just to make sure to keep DRS on the next couple of laps. And I saw him flashing, so there was already an advantage for me. And then we came out, a lot of cars around us, and then for me it was mainly saving enough ERS for the final couple laps. Normally there are a lot of battles then, so that went quite well. And then some cars made a mistake, and then as soon as they made it, just use a bit of ERS, and then you're easily getting past because they are most likely flashing. So yeah, that was basically my strategy. And at the end, also tried to get past Tomek. I wasn't sure if his penalty was valid or not, but he defended quite well. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it was a really well worked race from you. But before I let you get away, season 14 coming up. Are we going to be seeing you here in WOR?
I mean, I finished it off pretty well, so I think you guys will see me back in the next season.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to that. We'll let you get away and enjoy that podium. And I'll bring us back over to George because we have got some news.
We have got some news, folks. Oh, my screen has just gone a bit funny. I'm going to kick Duncan out. Sorry, Duncan. We're back now. Right, yeah, sorry, guys. My head was above the screen. Yes, we've got news. Are you ready for it? That's the big question. I'm gonna wait. Live chat. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for this decision? I'm just gonna hype this up.
Cruel.
This has been sort of the tension. I can cut it with a knife right now. I've got the decision. I know what the decision is. Do you guys want to hear what happened and what's been decided in the stewards' room? Just say it. I can.
All saying yes.
I can confirm Thomas Ronhaar receives a 5-second time penalty. Jarno Opmeer is your WOR champion. I can confirm it. Jarno Opmeer is your champion. He has taken the crown here at WOR, and he is champion confirmed. I am pleased to announce, folks, obviously to yourselves, all the Jarno fans at home, all of you, just look at it. Look at the chat. There we are. If you liked that answer, that Stuart's decision, please leave a like and also subscribe to this video, to this channel. But yes, a wonderful season indeed, folks. We witnessed certainly a very fantastic title battle. It went right to the wire. The championship finished in controversy around Yas Marina. Doesn't happen very often, does it, Dan?
No, only happens once a year, it seems, at this point.
Is that all?
And yeah. And, well, and the funny thing is, as you say that, you know, if you like the result, then leave a like. I've just been watching the like counter; it's been shooting up. So I think everyone is quite pleased with this result, and I think myself, I am pleased with the outcome of this one. Of course, commiserations to Thomas Ronhaar. He drove such an incredible race, and without that one small mistake ending Jake Benham's race, he'd have been winning. You know, he would have been. He'd have been champion, and it is very unfortunate. But Jarno Opmeer, I mean, fair play to him. You know, he's not the Flying Dutchman for no reason. He's not a two-time F1 esports champion for no reason. And certainly this is going to be a big confidence boost headed in towards the final round of F1 esports, where, of course, the drivers will be racing around the Abu Dhabi circuit. So, Jarno Opmeer, your season 13 WOR champion. And, I mean, he is incredibly deserving of it, George.
Yeah, he is. I mean, a wonderful driver, a wonderful champion. And I don't think this will be the last time we see these two come together. And, of course, we obviously allude to the what we're about to see in just under a week's time. And I will see you all live from the Gfinity Arena in only a matter of days. I will be there for event 4. I will be there for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, bringing you the live commentary from the F1 Esports final event 4. And we'll look to see who will claim the F1 Esports title as well as the WOR title that we have seen here tonight. So looking forward to that. Hope you guys all enjoyed this title fight. From me, George Morgan, it's been a pleasure to step in and commentate this final race of WOR alongside the great Dan Field as well. Dan, we'll go through the social medias. If you want to check me out, guys, George Morgan TV, that is my Twitter account. Don't forget as well, you can check out WOR at WOR League. You can see the channel name above as well. Dan Field, I know that it's there, but I like to give the guys a chance to say what their Twitter handles are.
Well, my Twitter is, of course, you can see it right beneath my name, Danfield F1_. Make sure you drop a follow. Be much appreciated. Also, subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. We are so close to 8,000 subscribers at this point. And with all the off-season news, you're going to want to be in our Discord. So make sure you check that link in the description. I want to give a few thank yous for this season. Massive thanks to Luke Humphreys, of course, the Humperdinck. What a season of WR this has been. It would have been possible without him. And he's been so incredible in organising it as well. And of course, allowing me to commentate. I'd also like to thank Luke Etheridge. Unfortunately, not been able to be here tonight, but I've been joined by him majority of the season. And a big thank you to you as well, George. It's been a while since we stepped in the commentary box together, and this has been the perfect way, I'd say, to round out this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you ever so much, Dan. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone involved in the championship. Thank you to you viewers at home. Enjoy the festive period. Enjoy F1 Esports. It's been a wonderful championship fight. Opmeer is the title champion. He's won WOR. But we'll see you next time, folks. Look after yourselves. Enjoy your Christmas. Take care. Goodbye.
Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shanaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Berman spins, stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The captain run was complete.
Sonic to the inside.
Shadow wins the Brazil. Absolutely sensational.